To begin our engagement here with this Virgin Gorda community, I want to invite Pastor Clifton, or Reverend Clifton, to do the opening prayer for us. I invite you to stand in reverence as we begin, please.
Thank you. First of all, hey everybody, how you doing? All righty, you know what? I spent a few days off island. I've been in Columbus, Ohio, and I've been home less than 24 hours. It sure is nice to be back someplace where it is warm. I get cold all the time. Let us pray. Most gracious God and Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for allowing us to come together in this distinct and unique configuration of people to discuss those matters which are affecting and will seek to improve our communal life together. We ask for the guidance of your Holy Spirit to be with us and to rest deep within our hearts so that all that is said and all that is discussed will come together for the glory of your name and the well-being of these, your beloved people. All of this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Can I just bring greetings from the church too? Yeah, sit down, everybody. On behalf of the wardens and the vestry and the entire parish family here, I bring you greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and we are so very happy that you are here tonight with us. Over the past few years, I hope that you have seen more of an intention of the parish family here at St. Mary's to open up and invite the community in. And so what we're asking you to do on this day is to think of St. Mary's as your community church. When you need something, come here. If you need a space, come here. If you need anything, come here. That's not to say I'm trying to steal members from other churches or anything like that. Please be where you are comfortable. But if you need something, think of St. Mary's as your community church and come here. We don't say we welcome you here. What we're saying is that we invite you here. And once you get invited here, you are welcome to be a part. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much, Reverend Clifton, for allowing us to host this community meeting here at your church. Again, my name is Tasha Bertie. I'm the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Social Development, and it is certainly a delight to be here in the community of Virgin Gorda as we engage with you in what we intend to make a regular occurrence, including other community meetings in our various communities around the Virgin Islands. With me tonight are some of my key support persons, and of course I would say our Minister, Honorable Vincent Whitley, the Minister of Health and Social Development, as well as the District Representative for the 9th Electoral District. We have here as well from the ministry directly, Dr. Ronald Georges, our Chief Medical Officer. Just give a wave so they know that you're in the space. And on my right, I have Deputy Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Social Development, Mrs. Natalie Foy Smith. Just a wave. And we also have our Chairman for the BVI Health Services Authority, Mr. Ron Potter. The Acting CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the BVI Health Services Authority, Dr. June Samuel, on the table with us, as well as Dr. Natasha Freth, the Director of Primary Health Care for the BVI Health Services Authority. I'm certain there are other team members from the authority here, and Dr. Samuel, I'll give you the opportunity to introduce the remaining staff from your team. Take the mic.
Good evening, everyone. So we also have in the audience, we have Dr. Ba is here. Yes, Dr. Ba is one of the primary care physicians at Nurse Iris O'Neill. We have Mrs. Rhonda Williams, who is the Director of Quality for the Health Services Authority, is the Director of Nursing for the hospital.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. So we have an idea as to who's in the room. Now, we have some main objectives that we hope to achieve tonight, and I just want to hear from the community here in Virgin Gorda. As well as, of course, we want to also discuss some of what we recognize may be some of the challenges and the concerns of the residents, because it's important to hear your voices on these issues, as well as to shed some light from the ministry's perspective, from the BVI Health Services perspective, as to where we intend to take our healthcare system when it relates to our constituents here in Virgin Gorda. Now, of course, with everything, we would hope that this engagement will be done decently and in order. So respectfully, just want to set some ground rules. We do have some moving mics. Unfortunately, we don't have a standing area where you can come up and utilize the mic. We're going to give opportunities for individuals to have your questions asked and hopefully answered, as well as also give you the opportunity to make sure that we're able to listen to each other respectfully and allow other persons to speak respectfully throughout the evening as we engage. If you would like to say something, please just raise your hand. I think Mr. Grange will move around with the mic and give you the opportunity. I know everybody might want to speak all at once sometimes, or you might want to speak several times, but we want to ask, let's try to control that opportunity and give other individuals as well the opportunity to speak when when they may have a question or concern, okay? Ultimately, again, our engagement tonight is about getting an opportunity to hear from you directly, and we want to give you that opportunity. So without any further ado, I'm going to allow our Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Vincent Whitley, to greet you at this time.
Good evening, all. Thank you, P.S. Tasha. Thank you and your team for coming over. We miss Nigel and we miss Damien, who also work with the HSA PR team. A pleasant good evening to all of you present here. And of course, those listening on the various online media. I think we have about 2 different online media here. JTV I see up front, but I think Orlando's also getting set up. I'm not seeing him, but he's supposed to be here. Tonight I'm here in actually 3 different capacities. First of all, as a resident of Virgin Gorda. Second, as the elected representative of the 9th District. And third, as a Minister of Government responsible for health and social development, which will clarify what that means in a few minutes. A person seems very confused. Many of you would only see me leave sometimes 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning and return at 9 or 11 at nights, or in church on Sundays for those of you who go to church. We were in the House of Assembly up until 10:50 last night. And that's why I came over 11:15, hammering away, trying to get legislation done. The last year, and particularly the last 3 months, has been really, really brutal on all elected persons due to our COI deadlines, and the need for Cabinet and the House of Assembly to meet nearly every day to fend off the various challenges facing this country, which are many. I'll name the 3 main ones that we are currently dealing with. 1, grade listing. 2, a mutual evaluation report. And of course, the Ardent Council that still hangs over our head. Our Premier and Deputy Premier will be traveling this weekend to go to the UK to meet with officials there to give them an update and to negotiate on our behalf. All these issues have had significant impacts on the lives of all of us. And as ministers and all elected persons have had to forego many activities and initiatives, and for the most part have not been present in our districts as we would like. And you will see that wherever you go, you're not seeing representatives because we are often either in Cabinet and in the House. A lot of things we would have wanted to do, we weren't able to do because of the pressures of the office. However, with the bulk of the COI legislation now out of the way, we can now turn our attention and focus on the work of the country in this new paradigm and era. the way things were happening before, there'll be some changes going forward. I look forward to a very fruitful and engaging meeting this evening. And it's my wish that when we leave here tonight, we would have forged a way forward in partnerships with the business community, NGOs, civic society, concerned citizens, and of course, the government of the Virgin Islands. There are three areas, in my opinion, that should never be made political. One, land ownership. Two, education. Three, healthcare. These are too important to us to play politics with. As always, I urge persons to speak up. Air your concerns, but do so, as you heard, in a respectable and dignified manner, as is the custom in the 9th District. Also important, allow your answers, your questions to be answered. Again, I sincerely want to thank all of you for coming out and look forward to a very fruitful discussion here this evening. I thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Minister. Of course, we have the team from BVIHSA, including the chairman. So I'd give Mr. Potter, Ron Potter, the opportunity to just give brief remarks, please.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I know the protocol has already been established, but I want to say good evening to the Minister of Health, the ministry team, and the BVIHSA team. And most importantly, to the Virgin Gorda residents and those present and those out in Radio Land that have come to hear us. Welcome to the meeting to discuss healthcare in Virgin Gorda. I want to thank you for coming out in the numbers that you've turned out in. I trust our conversations will be respectful, fruitful, and beneficial for all. I mean, I also would note that the Virgin Gorda community has lost one of his own, Mr. Bucky Sprawl. And for that, I offer my condolences on behalf of the HSA board, management, and staff, and from my own personal on my own personal behalf. My name is Ron Potter, and I'm the chairman of the board of directors of the BVI Health Services Authority since March of 2023. Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Potter. All right, so I want to give Dr. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to allow Dr. Samuel to do her introductions, and then we go into.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out. So as we said before, I'm Dr. Samuel. I'm the Acting Chief Executive Officer for the Health Services Authority, and as such, I report to the chairman of the board and have oversight for the operational matters as it relates to the Health Services Authority. I introduced before Dr. Natasha Fred, who is the Director for Primary Health Care. And then we've been joined by Dr. Shanna K. Fraser. Dr. Shanna K., most all of you here should know her. She is the lead clinician for primary care services at Nurse Iris O'Neill and Gada and North Sound. Okay, so we are happy to be here to talk with you about the services that are provided specifically in Virgin Gorda. And also to hear from you, what you see as areas of improvements, collaborations that we can make so that, at the end of the day, we continue to provide and improve the services that are being offered to the residents in Virgin Gorda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. So we are going to quickly provide some quick synopsis of what's happening from the ministry's end, from BVIHSA's end, and in terms of what's happening in those particular areas as it relates to the community here in Virgin Gorda. Just to give you an idea as to what has been in the pipeline, what we've been working on. And then we're going to try our best to give the majority of the time to the engagement of the residents that are here. So it's now 6:20, and I'm going to be holding the team, including the minister, to making sure our presentations are precise and short. So by 6:30, we can then open the floor for engagement of the public. Is that a safe agreement, team? Everyone on the panel? Okay, because this meeting is about hearing from the community. That's our intention. That's why we're here. And it's important that we give the residents the opportunity. So we're going to try to be as concise as possible. Minister, could you just give a little brief synopsis of some of what the ministry has been working on in relation to our healthcare system, especially for the residents here in Virgin Gorda?
Thank you, Paige. I'll be very, very brief. As far as healthcare is concerned, and I think it was last month, we passed a SAP, schedule for additional appropriations. And that SAP, we got, I think, about $5 million for health services. Of that $5 million, about one went to the chillers in Tortola. I think one went to electricity. 3 went to between dialysis and a few other areas down there. And the loan, which we were hoping to pass last night, but we'll pass next week. And the new loan we have, out of the $100 million, we have $4 million earmarked for Health Services Authority. All the money hasn't exactly been decided yet. Based on the meeting tonight, it's going to help us, give us a clear steer as to how that money will be applied across Health Services Authority. But this is capital funding from the national budget for health services.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Platter?
Thank you again, MC. I just quickly want to go over a couple of areas. I will speak about some capital matters and senior management, and Dr. Samuels will speak about the operational matters concerning the BVIHSA. So quickly, I want to speak about the North Sun Clinic. This clinic has been operating sporadically since Hurricane Irma in 2017, with it being closed most of the time. The clinic was refurbished in 2023, and the living quarters situated above the clinic has also been refurbished for attendant nurse. Okay, I'm sorry. And the intention is to have this clinic operating a few times a week in the very near future. Nurse Iris Medical Center, this building was completed in 2018, but unfortunately, services meant for 2 floors were consolidated on 1 floor. And over time, the integrity of the roof was compromised and has been leaking for a few years. The radiator for the backup generator failed, and the spare, which was on special order, took a few months to be manufactured and then shipped. But the generator has now been addressed. The issue with the generator has now been addressed, and as the minister made mention, allocated in our capital budget some funds to address the repair of the roof. And so once we get that'll be completed immediately. And then we'll implement a regular schedule for all equipment. Maintenance schedule for all equipment will be enforced, so we don't go through the challenges that we had done in the past. Quickly, the building in disrepair behind the Nurse Iris Medical Center, which is instead intended for staff accommodations. Designs have been completed. A site visit is planned for the next few weeks, and a bill of quantities to be completed so that cabinet approval can be sought for the funding in the 2025 budget. The basic services to be being provided, Dr. Samuels will speak more on that, but what I would say is that any additional services will be agreed with yourselves, with the various communities that we'll be speaking to, the government, and plans will be completed to address these additional services. But very importantly, what I really want to talk about is the senior management. The HSA is a very large operation. It's the second largest employer behind the government with facilities in all the main islands. The HSA, in one form or the other, has been providing healthcare services to the Virgin Islands since 1922. So we've been doing this for over 100 years. And despite that large operations, we still have to have a management structure and managers in place that ensures that community clinics are always part of the management discussion. And I think that's one of the things that we are really looking at to improve, or continue to improve, I should say. Not just health services in Virgin Gorda, but health services across all of the Sister Islands, health services across all the community clinics. And a couple of the positions I would speak to are, first of all, community clinic specific. The HSA, the BVIHSA Act requires a senior medical officer responsible for medical personnel and care in the clinics. This position has been in an active one for some time, but we recently advertised, we interviewed, and we selected someone for the position. This position is to be cabinet approved. We forward to you, Mr. Minister, the names, so hopefully we get approval of that person very soon. In addition to just community clinic specific, we're also looking at some positions that affect the entire organization, and what that is meant to ensure that the level of service that we provide to the hospital is the same level of services that we provide to the clinic. And the first position that we also looked at is Chief Nursing Executive, who's responsible for nurses throughout the authority. Again, I'm proud to say that we recently advertised, we interviewed, and we selected someone for that position. Mr. Minister, that name is also in front of you as well. And the intention is that, again, whatever we do for nurses in the hospital, we do for nurses in the community clinics. And a new position that we are looking at, and I think this is a very important one, is our Chief Operations Officer. Chief Operations Director. Thank you, Madam CEO. So this is a position that the board is considering, and the intent is to place a manager who will be responsible for all operational matters throughout the organization, whether it's in a hospital or in a community clinics. What we realize is a number of the positions were either you manage a hospital or you manage the clinics. We're looking at a position that across, whether the operations is in the clinic or whether it's in a hospital, we have that one person manage them so the same level of service is provided. And with these management positions filled, we would expect to be even more active in the community clinic arena.
Thank you, Mr. Potter. Dr. Samuel, the floor is now yours.
Our focus is on ensuring that you get comprehensive services being provided out of the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic, and also, and GADA is a part of this discussion. Currently, the clinic does have some challenges as it relates to the recent storm that passed and damaged our air conditioning system. That is being repaired. The staff, we continue to provide services. Most of the services are back up and running. So your lab services, your X-ray services are in the building and functioning, as well as the physicians and nurses providing all of your primary care services as previously. In addition to that, there is a clinical person, a nurse on the campus around the clock to deal with any issues that may come up after 4:30. Okay? In terms of emergency calls, we have streamlined, so we've handed out a brochure. I need you to pay attention to the brochure. The brochure outlines all of the services that are available at the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic. Okay? on a regular basis. It also lists all of the numbers that can be accessed, including for emergency calls, okay? The 911 system, we have had discussions with the 911 team so that that number can also be used. If you have an emergency, you would know that you have an ambulance team that is now stationed in Virgin Gorda at the clinic, all right? So those services are available as needed, and the numbers to access those services are listed. There are some specialist services that would usually be provided on a visiting basis, and we know that there has been a gap in that, and we are looking at reestablishing those specialist services that would have been visiting in the past. The chairman spoke about the North Sound Clinic, and the intention is that once we have recruited additional staffing, that the clinic will go back to being in operations 3 times a week as previously. We have challenges as it relates to staffing, but we're now in collaboration with the Ministry of Education so that students returning home, we can get those students into our system as seamlessly as possible. And we also have programs whereby, just as over the summer, we had some summer students who worked with us so that we can get students into the system, okay, during their school career, so that we can get them interested in taking up health services as their career. The chairman talked about the staff accommodation, right, which will help us in terms of assigning staff, having your own staff on VG, because that has been one of the ongoing challenges for a long time. And EMT training, we've just completed a cohort of EMT training. We had a number of students who graduated, and 2 of the students are from Virgin Gorda. So we are looking to have them added to the staff. They currently work in the clinic, but we're now going to support them in completing their certification so that they can become a part of the team, the EMT team for Virgin Gorda, so that we have more sustainability in having that service on Virgin Gorda. Okay, so during the question and answer period, any questions as it relates to the services, we can take those, and we have the team from Nurse Iris O'Neill who will also provide information.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. So as the crowd has grown, I think some persons may have missed some of the initial conversations around how we hope to manage the discussions tonight. And again, just for the benefit of those who've come in since I've spoken, my name is Tasha Bertie. I'm the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Social Development, and I'm happy to be a part of the panel here to share with you what has been happening in healthcare, as well as to hear from you some of what you've been encountering and how we can best come to some discussions as well as solutions to assist in ensuring that our services in relation to healthcare meets the immediate needs of the people of this community. So we've heard from the 4 persons, the main persons on the panel so far, but of course we want to give the opportunity. Most of this discussion should be our engagements with you, allowing you the opportunity to ask your questions, get any matters clarified. As I've mentioned before, we want to, as much as possible, do this in a respectful manner. If you have a question, if you have a comment, you're going to be free to do so, but we ask you to do so respectfully. We also would ask that you allow persons the opportunity to speak as well as be able to listen so that you can hear those responses. We have two persons from the team who would have moving mics, Mr. Grange and Ms. Thomas on my left, your right, would have the mic. So what I'd ask is that you probably pop up like popcorn so that we know you have a question and we'll acknowledge and give you the opportunity to do so. So we're going to open the floor now for anyone, and I see a hand already on this end. Kyla? I'd ask that you just say your name, please.
My name is
Yes.
Charlene Henderson.
Thank you.
And I'd like to have closure on what happened to Bucky. Because Wally, and I don't know if Wally came. I don't know if Wally's here today. Bucky wasn't feeling well. And he went to Wally and says, hey, I'm not feeling well. And Wally put him in the car. They drove to the clinic. And I'm not here to criticize anybody, but we cannot, in 2024, going on 2025, having a situation like what those of us that live here, you all go back to Tortola tonight. Those of us that are members of this community, if we get sick at night, we got to depend on Speedy's, the George's family, or like a Elton that we know to get us off island. And when they went to the clinic, the security guard met them and said it's closed. And in the olden days, before the new clinic was built, there was always a sign out on the doors at the old clinic with an emergency number. This new building, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but we all walking this earth, and it's not about politics. It's about humanity. I'm not a political person, but I love everybody. Even if you hate me, I love you. You go home tonight and you're mad at me because of the words I'm speaking. I am speaking the truth. And the guard was not trained. And there was no sign on the outside saying, this is the emergency number. And that guard, and Wally went off on him. And Bucky was dying. He could hardly breathe. He was breathing through his nostrils. His lungs were probably closing up on him. And he and Wally are there saying to the guard, please call 911. And the guard is saying, I don't have the number. And that guard should have been trained. And whoever hired him, and our government, whoever the clinic, and we're human, we make error, but we don't mess with people's lives. And then they told them, go to the police station. They got there, the police are saying, why they sent you here? What are we to do? And by the time now Wally's puking, he's scared, he's crying. And that's Bucky's crying. And Wally's like, holy hell, this is my friend. We go to these basketball games. And my God, I realized the seriousness of what Bucky's going through. And at some point, Bucky's like breathing through his nostril. And he got back and he's like, oh my God. And I don't think Wally came. He's too upset. And that is our brother. We are all brothers and sisters. No matter Vincent there, he get in hell, you get in hell, we get in hell. We all get in hell. Somebody's giving us hell. But we must stand together as a British Virgin Islands community. And whether you're born here or you ain't born here, we're one. Whether you're an expat, we are one people. And the day of reckoning will come to all of us. And no matter how much money any of us may have, we ain't carrying none of it with it. And I stand here before you all, and I say Virgin Gorda needs more accountability for Virgin Gorda. And I respect all of you, but you're making decisions for us, and we're not allowed to make decisions for ourselves. And there's more I'd like to say. We need to know if this is our clinic. This was built. We felt good. We got dressed up to go to the opening of this new clinic. But what a sham of a clinic! It is a sham. And we were taken advantage of because we put on our best Sunday outfits and we went there and we celebrated the opening of this clinic. And the shit ain't working.
Thank you.
Ain't working. And nobody's going to come here and tell me I must sit down. And I love all of you, and I'm not mad at you. I want you all to understand what it's like. For us, we love Virgin Gorda. This is our community. And I dare to say that the outer islands, we're all going through the same thing. You all sit in Tortola. You don't know what we're going through. You go home, you get sick, you get a stroke at night. You can call an ambulance. We got to go depend on the George family to help get us out. And we must find out what is our budget for this clinic. We must stop being like the Arawaks and become like the Caribbeans and stand as one people. And I say it with love, and I want you all to join us. I think I had enough.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we would give. So I think I'm sorry, as I think it's important that we give an opportunity for a response. Ultimately, we are aware and we recognize that there are family members here present who are feeling the brunt of this, and we want to also extend our condolences to the family. It's important, too, that we give, respectfully, it's important, too, that we also give the Chief Executive Officer the opportunity to respond. There was a question posed, I think, Ms. Henderson. Question you also posed, and I think it's important that we get some closure, at least with a response from the authority, briefly in terms of, sorry? They're asking what was the question. Well, I suppose it was more of her projecting some of her feelings in relation to the matter. So, Dr. Samuel?
So, we asked, I think, as it relates to the incident, we hear you, okay? We also made sure to make some corrections. You mentioned the absence of the number on the door, okay? You mentioned the fact that the guard wasn't trained, which means no clinical person was there. That has been corrected, okay? You mentioned about the emergency number. So I went through that earlier in terms of ensuring that everybody is aware of the emergency number and that all persons respond to the emergency number when it is called. You asked about the budget for the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic. Okay. I'm going to... Yes, she asked, what is the budget for the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic? Right. So the Health Services Authority has an overall budget of 42.
Excuse me, sir, could we just give an opportunity for a response, please?
Okay. So the overall budget for the Health Services Authority allocated is $42 million. Okay. That budget is not separated by clinics. All right. So that is something. The minister is here, and the minister is hearing you. And it is something that was brought to his attention just this week. We had that conversation. about the fact that the clinics need to have separated budgets. All right?
Sorry, let's be certain that we acknowledge there was somebody with a hand, but if you raise your hand, let's try to do it in an orderly fashion. If the lady doesn't mind allowing you to go in front of her, I saw her hand before. Sorry, I think,
Yes, good evening.
yes, yes, please, could you just? So you'll be next, Mr. Levens.
I go ahead.
No, you'll be next. She was first, sorry.
Good evening. I kind of lost my voice, so bear with me, right? Okay, I am the sister of Reuven Bucky Sproul. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Laura, can you hold it for her, please? Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. I am Ingrid Sproul. I am the sister of Reuven Bucky Sproul. And I have a lot of questions. I'm going to ask them one by one, and I hope that all of you will be able to answer. First one, why it took a tragedy incident for the BVI health authorities and the government to realize the vital concerns of Virgin Gorda residents.
Sorry, you want to take it? Sorry, I don't think that we would say that it's because of this event. That's why we're here.
Baloney, don't come with that tonight, please. All right? My second question is, we have lost a resident. What is the government prepared to do to a grieving family, and why has anyone from the government side made any contact with outside of the BVI health authorities? Are they more concerned about the COI or the people? Why couldn't it be both?
In terms of government assistance to grieving families, through social development, we provide funding, and also through social security. With social security, the amount I think is $3,000, and with social development, it is I think $2,500 max. This is usually handled through the funeral homes. They normally do a package for you.
Okay. This question is to you, Honorable Wheatley. Why only now you understand, or you fully understand, the needs for the people, and what is the timeline for improvement services such as dialysis from persons having to travel to Tortola?
Don't forget, I also live here, and this pain is as real for me as anybody else. It's real. The plans we've had have been on the books for a while. In fact, the talk about healthcare has been around for a while. And I tell them, I'm not kicking this can down the road. I'm going to take the bull by the horns in terms of bringing about the much needed things. We do have money in the budget to actually do the things that need to be done. You raise the point of the COI, and unfortunately, we are a bit hamstrung by the COI, but currently we are at the tail end of that. We left the house last night, 10 minutes to 11, trying to get past so we can focus on the things for the people of this country. I'm not making excuses because I'm not very good at making excuses. We are about to do what we need to do. Again, for the last year and a half, we have been laboring with the COI. The last 3 months have been intensive, and that's a fact. That is a fact.
Respectfully, I think we want to give other persons the opportunity. I think we want to also, you've had 3 questions so far, and I want to give also other individuals. Mr. Levens, you had the mic. We may come back to you if you don't mind. We will come back and give other persons.
Not finished.
Mr. Levens, you want to allow her, or just to give everybody opportunity? I just want to be fair. We did agree. We're going to give several persons the opportunity. You want to go ahead? Go ahead, sweetheart. Go ahead, please.
Honorable Wheatley, are you aware of the current petition that is currently circulated with regards to the urgent healthcare needs?
I am aware of it, yes, ma'am. I am aware of it. And this meeting, like was said earlier, is not necessarily a response to the healthcare. And I saw over the petition, sorry, and I saw over 500 signatures. I really thought it would be more, because this is an urgent matter that's been kicked around too long. I'm not prepared to kick this can any further. I didn't answer your question on dialysis. I said earlier, maybe you weren't here, is it, that we did start some work on total dialysis to get that finished. Once that is completed, we will begin to work on virgin water. It is.
Because people are afraid. They are afraid. I have work permit holders who have said to me, and yes, I am interrupted, and I said I was going to behave, but I am not. But I cannot let that pass. The work permit holders have asked me, they said, Sharon, we are afraid to sign our name to the petition. And my question to them is that in the middle of the night when you have to go to the clinic or wherever, are you a work permit holder or are you a humanitarian? And I could not let that go. And I encourage everybody to sign that goddamn petition and get it to the governor. Because all y'all doing a set of excuses. Years and years we've been listening to your drivel. And it got to stop. It has got to stop. You found over $4 million to party and dance and jam. And some of us party and jam too. But you mean to tell me that in your budget sorting out, you couldn't sort out $500,000 to deal with Virgin Gorda and to deal with the Out Island clinics? Man, y'all don't take us for no fools. Don't come here and take us for fools.
That is true. That's very. If what you're saying is true, that's quite unfortunate because lives are lives, whether you're a work permit or belanger. That's quite unfortunate.
Good night.
Good night.
My name is Coyle Evans from the sister island of Anegada, 9th District. First and foremost, let me just say my condolences to the passing of the gentleman. Looking at the situation from the outside, the reality is the BVI Health Services dropped the ball. And that is a reality because the situation we have is how do you prioritize Anegada and Virgin Gorda that is more at risk? I hear just a while ago a discussion about hiring of staff. How do you hire CEOs but yet not song is still outstanding with staff? Where is your priority in terms of hiring people? Now, I know we're operating with limited resources, but you can't allocate a budget and put everybody in the same pool because the risk factor for each particular island is different. The other thing is, I'm from Anegada, and one of the things we struggle with is medical emergencies through the night. And I think that we really need to address some of the issues because the reality proves itself. We have evidence of a situation that prove lack thereof of proper processes in place. Now, my thing is, I think what we should do here tonight is leave out of here with a proper solution, but more so I think the health services need to reevaluate how the outer islands are being managed. Because I am from Anegada, and I've seen people have medical emergencies. You cannot put an individual on a boat and cross at least 15 miles of rough water during a September or December month. And I think we have been going over and over and over. A lot of these islands are left vulnerable because of decisions that are being made. Now, it goes back again as to the original question, where are the priorities? Because we have a situation where monies, you're telling me about a budget, explain to me how much is allocated for Anegada, how much is allocated for Virgin Gorda, and what is the strategical direction the health services is carrying each of these places to. Because my thing is this, we have ambulances inoperative, we have firemen doing multiple jobs. When are we going to evaluate and see how we could fix the situation? I think a lot of times what we are doing is we are being reactive. A situation happened, and then we put a mechanism in place, but we have to be proactive. Our ability to be able to at least see problems, but the only way that you can see a problem is if you sit down and look at the risk. How many medical emergencies left Virgin Gorda for the year? How many left Anegada? What time they occur? How much money are we putting in place each year to make sure that we mitigate against these things? We are not on the island of Tatola. And we expect, I think as a representative, you have a duty of care to ensure the safety and the lives of the people. And while I as a man don't like confusion, I have to look you in your face and tell you dropped the ball on this one, my friend. You dropped the ball.
The one point you raised there, I commend you for that, and that is the finger pointing and so forth is not what I want to hear tonight. I want to walk away from here with solutions. Those numbers you spoke of is something we looked at very, very recently. You'd have seen earlier this year, I went to St. John to look at the possibility of what is the best option in terms of evacuations. Is an ambulance boat the option? There are several options to look at, and the numbers tell a story also. So it is things we have been looking at, so it's not like we're not. No, I'm not hearing you. I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not hearing you.
My position is, and I understand your position as a minister, because a lot of times we say things, but sometimes you have to sit in the seat to understand the situation. So I could give you that, but the reality is $5 million was allocated as a SAP. The question that lends itself is how much of that money was given to the high-risk areas like Enigada and Gorda that are not connected to the main place. So for you to say that we're having discussions, how long are we going to have the discussions? Enigada been out of medical emergency services. You have to call and depend upon people who you know to move your people if you want them to move. But we don't have anything in place. Enigada is not located next to Tatola and even further away than Gorda. And the risk exists. Y'all know the risk exists. And all we are asking is to put the mitigation in place. But you can't put a mitigation if you don't have a level of priority. And you need to prioritize the outer islands because they're more at risk, especially when you have facilities that are inadequate to do the work and have staff on the ground that not present. So while we're discussing, Honorable, I think we need to be real with the circumstances on the ground, and I think what we need to do is we need to find a solution to these problems. We just can't come and do the same thing and expect a different result. And that's what we're doing. We come in, we're meeting, we're talking, we're meeting, and the situation has not changed over the years.
I really thank you for that. We have $4 million coming soon. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. We hope to get a $4 million passed to decide how best to spend it. You today are going to help me figure out what, in your mind, are the priorities. That's why we're here. The money has not been passed as yet. Hopefully, we shouldn't do it last night, but we ran out of time. But when the Premier comes back in about 2 weeks' time, we're going to pass that $4 million for health care. Tonight, you're going to help me figure out, in your mind, what are those priority areas for you. Thank you.
Yeah, but one more thing, but I think that this is a situation that needs to be addressed on a higher level. Because now you are entering into a high-end tourism product where there's a duty of care for us to provide medical facilities. We have a helipad that is uncertified. We have Oil Nut Bay just about to put a helipad. You have places like Peter Island that has an interest. So what we have to do is we have to build something that can actually integrate into that mechanism. Why can't we get a helicopter? Why are you also afraid of the fact of we getting a helicopter with multiple purposes? You have border patrol, you have immigration, you have customs, you have police, and then you have the situation that you have medical airlift. We can do these things. I mean, these things are not inachievable. And Cayman Islands don't already do these things. Bermuda have these things in place. The template is there. It's just that we have to lift it up and apply it for ourselves. But in my humble opinion, sometimes I don't feel priority is being given to certain things. And I know limited resources, but still.
What you've given excellent ideas. We have explored these things and even look at the cost of them. So there are things we are looking at. When it comes to budgeting, unfortunately, we don't control our budget like that. We are given allocation that we have to figure out. When you ask questions, please be respectful while we give the answers for you. Thank you.
Dr. Samuel, do you want to respond to some of the points raised?
When will the clinic be staffed with a doctor 24 hours a day? Answer the question, please. Why you take this so long to answer that question?
Excuse me, sir?
It's a simple question. They don't need to collaborate and answer the question.
So I hear your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some people.
One of
Laura, could you speak into the mic, please? Sorry. Mr. Grange, could you just go close to...
Yes. So we want to cover a number of things this evening, and we want as much information as possible. If 10 million people are shouting, we're not going to accomplish anything. And I don't understand the emotions, but we also want to accomplish something. So we're going to give Dr. Samuel an opportunity to respond, and then we're going to hear from this resident, and then we'll come to you, okay?
Okay, so we have looked at the possibility of having a physician in the clinic for 24 hours. It is a matter of having adequate staffing. I said that earlier. We currently...
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to express...
Speak a little louder, Doctor.
Okay,
Fred?
sorry. Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to take the opportunity to express my condolences to the Sproul family. All right, my voice is generally soft. So right now, I feel as if I'm shouting. Okay? I was saying I want to take the opportunity to express my condolences. I know, wait.
Thank you.
If I were to ask how many people in here knows me from a child, nearly everybody hand gonna go up. My story is linked to Iris O'Neill Clinic, right? Because most of you know where I grew up, right across the road. So I can recall all of this story. So when I took this position, I was very passionate, not only because of my story, but also because I'm from here. My family is from here. Now, to answer your question as to when it will happen, right? Unfortunately, we do have a shortage of doctors. Essentially, yes. The reason why... No,
Mr. Stevens, I believe you want to get an answer, so let's allow her to speak, please. Thank you.
The reality is because of the fiscal challenges that we have at BVIHSA, right? Because of money, it's difficult to recruit the number of doctors that we need. No, I understand what you're saying. I understand, but when it comes to that aspect of it, we try to recruit.
Dr. Fred, let's hear from this lady. Go ahead.
Good evening. I want to know if there's some consideration could be given to the resident of Virgin Gorda for putting us on a ferry any hour of the night. I'm talking about night or day. Could we please get into Rotong instead of Beef Island? Why can't we go into Rotown? I remember an incident the other day with a young lady that was at Beef. She left Virgin Gorda and she had to wait an hour at Beef Island for the ambulance because the ambulance was at the pier park tending to a tourist. We all human beings, yes. The ambulance was dealing with somebody else, but it just showed lack of everything here in the BVI. The last time I went to one of these meetings, they put me up on the news. So if whoever want to feel free to put me up on the news, my name is Patricia Stevens, for the record. Because I have 1 million people attend the meeting, but when I speak, they choose me. My name, my clothes, everything. People say, girl, you make the news. Well, I'm going to make it today, tonight, tomorrow. I live here since 1978. I got my education here. I got 3 children born of the soil. And I'm going to speak. I ain't no work permit. And I'm going to sign the petition 20 times. I'm going to sign for the rest of them who can't sign. Because I know that you guys could do better. And some of you in the House of Assembly and in government, Vincent Whitty, you is one of them. I greedy pay. The greedy bill. And forget the people them. Because you all feel that we have to vote are you in and we can't vote are you out. But we will. And we're going to try to get that greedy bill changed. Even if it takes the UK to do it. Because I too complacent with people's life. Okay?
Thank you,
I
Ms.
am not
Stevens.
going to do it. I have children here. I have friends and family here. And Virgin got the people them. They're afraid to speak out because some of them going to be victimized. But I got Jesus on my side. I got him on my side. No weapon. No weapon. You
All right,
understand?
so we're going to give
farm
the...
against me going to prosper because the people them deserve better.
Okay, we're going to
deserve
answer that
better.
question, Dr. Samuel. I think the question posed was around the docking, having the emergency persons go to the Trellis Bay, Rotor instead of Trellis Bay. Can we have some feedback on her question, please?
So the arrangement that we currently have with the private carrier, right, that arrangement takes us into Beef Island because it is thought to be a quicker turnaround, right? The issue of a family member on the boat, family members have gone on the boat with patients before. Okay, so I'm not aware of that, so we'd have to ask about that.
Okay, so we have... Laura has been waiting for a while. Go ahead, Laura.
Good night. Thank you, Laura Fox. I think it's really important for you to understand why people are so upset. This is real for us. And as someone said, and I'm not going to be long, I actually have a question and then I have a solution because I believe in being solution-oriented and I want to help because I cannot continue to watch all of this. Now, Ms. Bertie, I respect you to the moon and I'm so glad you asked for respect. So my first matter of business is, Mr. Potter, I need you to take that smile and smirk off your face, please, with all due respect. Because there is nothing more disrespectful than discussing something of such drastic and urgent nature and to have the chairman really and truly look the way that you are exuding your body posture and your mannerisms means you are not actually here to listen to us. And I'd honestly ask you to step outside if I was a little less or more rude, I guess, but I'm going to tolerate it. But I just need that noted on record, please, because it is extremely upsetting to come here and express opinions and watch people suffer. And that's the expression on someone's face, okay? Just as a note. So I think one of the biggest issues we need clarified, and this is why I'm up asking the question, is urgent and emergency care services daily, 24 hours. I think what would help give clarity to this conversation, and this leads to my solution, is what does that look like currently, as of right now at Iris O'Neill Clinic, in terms of what is the latest shift a doctor is there, no, let me rephrase that, is scheduled to work until, a scheduled shift. And then I would like to know, please, when the on-call shift starts. Because I know pre-Ernesto, the scheduled shift was till 10 or 11 at night. I thought it was 10. Someone told me it was 11. I think the residents, first of all, can we get some clarity on that?
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for your question, Mrs. Fox. And it is an excellent question, which will certainly outline so many of the issues that we have internally. And I'll start back a little further. You said urgency and emergency. There's so much more. There's primary care and extended community medicine that we do. So there's a large gamut of service that we provide because that's what the community needs. And then the number of staffing that we are able to have on a daily basis to spread across all of this. It is the same nursing team, physician team, and allied team that provides everything 24/7. Currently, we have a gamut of 5 physicians that spreads across Virgin Gorda and Anegada. And of course, North Zone, not to be left out. Our scheduling has to cover from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. regular primary care. That was way before the new facility. We saw the need that had to be extended. So we went to a further 7 p.m., and this is based on numbers. And then at 10 p.m., it's actually 10. Now, with changes in staff numbers, we try our best not to have one physician on any shift, but more than. Because imagine you have 10 people showing up for primary care to see a doctor, but here comes 2 emergencies. It's the same doctor, it's the same nurse. So we try the more increased frequent time of visitation to have cross coverage. Because we lost, unfortunately, some team members, we can't change the service plan. It is, the community is growing. What we've noticed, and numbers will tell you this, there are increasing number of emergencies. And we've taken within primary care to try and find out why. And it's because the society is just growing. A lot of people are involved in, construction working, a lot of building, there are a lot of trauma going on the road and on sites generally. There's also an increase in chronic diseases, and because of reduction in the amount of primary care or preventative medicine that we've had over the years, people just show up sick, heart attack, stroke, diabetes causing them to stroke out and have coma. So with that, no, we have to be present all the time. Now, pre-Ernesto, we actually tried to maintain the 10 p.m. shift, and that stretched down to 1 person being there. Right? My role is dual. It's both administrative as a public health specialist and also clinical as a generalist. So with that, I increased my clinical time because the need was there. So of course I have to step up. We also tried to cover Anegada much as possible. With that, we drawed from help from the emergency room when they could offer it for someone to go there, so at least we could maintain here, or from East End Clinic when there are 2 physicians covering Long Look and East End Clinic to go to Anegada so we could go. Now with that, it tells you a doctor will, no, I'm answering her question completely. With that, a doctor works primary care coverage 5 days per week. But emergency care is 24/7. So there's 7 days per week, but how many doctors? 5. So it tells you that a doctor is going to be doing primary care and on-call service to cover the extra hours that are there. But doctors, nurses, the entire team, we are also human. We live in the community. We also have to get scheduled time off, even though we're working way more than the 40 hours. That's allocated, and that's standard. So that's the scheduling. What happened to help a little bit with Tropical Storm Ernesto, and I have to say it because, it's what happened. There was a very serious issue, infrastructural issue, that was unsafe, not just for us, but clearly for the community. And because the building was inoperable, we were at the Vanderpool administration building for 2 weeks. And during this time, we still offered that 24/7. We worked throughout the day. We even put on the person who was in the night. They were slotted for the night. Emergency came in throughout this 2-week time. Emergency came in. People were called out in the same way. And I'm so disheartened by this unfortunate event. But if something could go wrong, everything that could go wrong went wrong. And it has brought this that was coming from before, but it has propelled it. And I'm really hoping that the solutions we're looking for, and it has to be timely, will come sooner rather than later. I hope that answers your question.
It does somewhat. I'm still unclear though. So until 10 o'clock at night currently, is there a doctor in the clinic? Sorry, that's ultimately what I'm trying to find out too.
Well, it's 7 p.m. now. It's 7 p.m. Based on our numbers, it's 7 p.m. But we're trying to see how we can get help. Just like the nursing staff, they've been able to get imported help, relief help in to ensure the 24-hour person in the clinic now. It's the same thing we have to then look at.
Okay, so here comes my solution, so I can be short and sweet and give the microphone to someone else. So, first of all, we have to stop talking about, and I know that it's called the clinic, and I know Anegada has a clinic. We have to stop calling it that. There is nothing else beyond the clinic for us. Let's be real about this. And in emergencies, this is it. It's really not Tortola. By the time you get there, it's at least 2 hours. We're done with emergencies by then. Therefore, we need to make sacrifices or whatever we need, because this is the primary location. When you are more than an hour away from advanced medical care, which we completely are, you have to go, as I say, commando. So what I actually believe, we do need more staffing. I'm not going to let anyone out of that. But we also need to schedule better. And I think we need to prioritize. So this is something I am very good at, and this is where part of my solution is I'm willing to help with this situation. But I also think it's a bit of PR. If an emergency comes into the clinic, anyone there for a cough or cold, are you willing to wait so that the emergency can be dealt with? Because it's a virgin Gordian, and we know who's probably in there. Okay, we always do. Well, let's just say now that Virgin Gorda could be willing to wait on primary care. We need to spread out. We may have to, honestly, I'm willing to sacrifice some things to get the emergency side coverage through the night. I'm not saying permanently. But I do think it can be done. This is a scheduling thing. And this is the only borderline disrespectful, but I'm going to say it in a really nice way thing. We need to stop our doctors doing private business out on the side when the clinic is paying them for their hours. And I'm not going to call names, but it is happening, okay? And I appreciate right now that we're not in an ideal situation. 40 hours a week is not ideal, but I know everyone works more than 40 hours a week right now. If you need help, there are people trained in the community to help you. Let them help. Because this is our community, and there's no way anyone's going to stand around and wait for people to happen. So I am offering my solution of helping with scheduling. Shoot me everything you have, and I will do my best to try and help you. Tell me what you need, tell me what you don't, and I will get creative and out of the box. That's how we're going to get through this currently. We have to get out of the box.
Thank you so much. Ms. Fox? Sorry. Okay.
I also want to endorse what Mr. Levin just said, and that's what I said earlier. We have to come to a solution, and it's through partnerships, whether it be private sector, NGOs, concerned citizens. That's what we're looking for tonight. The issue of recruitment, like they said, is a challenge worldwide. And I was telling the team, we have to get creative with how we offer incentives to persons. Some doctors are struggling just like everybody else with their rents. I said, there's a building at the back of the clinic. Why can't we just fix that building and make that part of the pay package? Also, there's a space at the Northern Clinic. Why can't we include that as part of the pay package? We have to start thinking out of the box. if we are going to bring solutions to this area.
And those are things that we are working on. Just for information, we are aware of the space behind the clinic. We are aware that we've been trying to make some steps in getting that remediated. We've actually had a drawing completed. We're in the process of working on the bill of quantities with the hopes that that facility can be within our 2025 budget expectations. So that is something that would certainly help. Again, a solution to a problem, because then we'll have a safe location where staff, hospital staff, the doctors and nurses can be physically present and be able to live comfortably and be able to support the work at the clinic. So I wanted to just raise that. And I think the authority, of course, will take on the recommendation from you, Ms. Laura, Ms. Fox, sorry, and the support. We have some other questions, and I'm also mindful of the time. Yes, Mr. The question? Okay, you've passed it on to, I saw you earlier. You want to give her a chance, sir? Miss? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hey. My concern is they said that you have doctors on call. The problem with that is when the doctor is on call, some of them may live at North Song, the duration of time to get here to the valley, those are different things. If you're on call, you should be stationed right here in the clinic, you know. The other thing, the building behind, as you just spoke about, that should be a priority. You have nurses and doctors all over the place. Provide, if you have 2 floors where the doctors and nurses live, there you'll have accessibility to access to the clinic immediately. Right? And then downstairs, then you can have like your radiology and those different things that you have. Now, the other thing I was concerned about is we have general practitioners, more or less, in the clinic, right? And we have no specialist doctors. Some of these doctors train in trauma because especially when it comes to heart attacks and strokes, you need that kind of specialty services. And those are things that need to come into play, right? You gave out a very impressive brochure. Lab is available 1 day per week. So are we supposed to be just exposed to get on a Tuesday? What happens to the other days if you need emergency situations? If you go down to Eureka, they tell you have to have an appointment. So you have an appointment there and you only get lab here once per week. Right, so those are things that need to be addressed, right? And I have a little problem with the response, you know, given the EMTs and so forth. But it takes too long for them to get to the situation. If I'm suffering with a heart attack or something, I'll be dead before they come, and it's dear to my heart. I'm a cancer survivor, so you know, healthcare issues are dear to my heart, and you know. Okay, and. You said your Department of Health Services and the seniors program come under that. Our seniors are dying from dementia, lack of mental stimulation, and there's nothing in place for our seniors. They lie home every day, lonely. There's no place for meeting, and I offered different places, and you know, the seniors there, that's why there's so much dementia and there's so much Alzheimer's, because there's no mental stimulation for these seniors, you know, to be engaged. And you know, thank you. But you know, I am getting ready. In the next month, I'll be a senior myself. So what do I do? Sit down and get Alzheimer's?
Dawn, can I ask you please, before I forget? On your suggestion, I hired Nicholas Larac to do exactly what you said you should do as an interim measure. That is to build on a deck onto this current seniors' home. That is being completed, and that was your suggestion. It was an excellent suggestion. That is, the designs have been completed and costed. Consequently, we are also building a new seniors' home. He's also doing those drawings. Hopefully, we'll get it in the next year's budget at the back of the current clinic. We're going to move the seniors from where they are into what do you call it? A proper facility for a modern facility. Again, thanks to you, we are working on that.
Okay, but in terms of that building behind the clinic, that needs to be top priority.
It is.
Because you know, if a doctor has to come all the way from North Song or wherever they may be living, the person is dead.
We agree.
And
We totally agree, and we've been working on that.
One person said about when you go to Tortola,
yes,
with the boat, right? They allow you to go on the boat, but you can't get on the ambulance. So if there's no taxi available, you're up there begging a ride up Before Island. You can't get to Road Town. So you either have to let.
You mean in terms of coming down with a patient and you're not allowed to go on the ambulance?
You can't get an ambulance, right? And if an ambulance does come.
Sorry, I want to be certain I'm understanding what you're saying. You're saying if a patient is traversing over to Trellis Bay on the boat to get on the ambulance, when the family is there with that individual, they're not allowed? Okay, one person is allowed on the ambulance.
No.
Nobody is allowed?
No.
Okay, Dr. Samuel, can you clarify on that? Because I think that something is wrong there.
Yeah, that's... So Dawn, that's something I would need to look into, because that is not what I know it to be. I would like Dr. Fraser to address the issue of the physicians, because
and the person's what on call means.
She's going to address the issue of the physicians, because I think it's important that you know what the skill set of the physicians who are currently in the clinic. Mr. Levens, your suggestion about liaising with the private sector, we've noted that, and we will look into
Sorry,
that.
Doc, not to cut you, but I think an additional thing as she goes on, if you could also speak to the specialty services as well, because that was mentioned by another person.
Yeah, I have a question, a comment.
Hold a thought. Hold it, please, Mr. Levers.
Accommodation.
Yeah,
We'll have
if
you build it, they will come. We're operating on that pretense.
So,
This is
Mr.
part of the
Levens,
equipment, exactly.
Mr. Levens,
Have to clarify.
Mr. Levens, as part of the challenge, right? Dr. Fred spoke about recruitment of staff. When we recruit staff for Virgin Gorda, we have to recruit staff that are more senior, okay? And one of the challenges our staff has had we've had staff leave because of issues with accommodation. So that is why, excuse me, so that is why, right, having the accommodation would assist also if we're going to share staff, because sometimes you have to bring relief staff from Tortola, and if we have places for them to stay, okay, the EMS, the EMTs currently, right, the EMTs currently that are here, okay, the spaces where we've had to put them, we have to provide accommodation. So having accommodation is important. But let...
Yeah,
They have a big three-story building right there across by the drugstore. Oh yeah, they get to this man and rent it and put all the doctors there. Go to 5 minutes. They don't have any. Accommodations are there. Accommodations are there. You know, I think what is my problem that people have to happen is we need to start recording behind the things problem. So let me talk about the area. The government have to make a commitment to put the money so that we can get the resources.
I have a comment, please. I would like to say something. Because we are here tonight because of what we call government-sanctioned medicine. And we have alternative medicines here in the BVI. I know because I'm a part of it. That is far more effective in terms of helping people deal with health issues and the causes of health issues than anything that we are being offered here today. And the bottom line is that as a community, we are going to have to take it upon ourselves to help ourselves. Okay? Now, the NHI system pays doctors and nurses. It does not help someone who wants alternative medicine. It does not pay for that. We need to get that changed. That would be a big step in the right direction. I know, my name is Roy Penn, and I know because I'm involved in this. I've been doing it for a long time. And I pass out some papers to each and every one that would take one. You have my phone number, you have my website, and you can look me up, you can call me and see what I'm doing, because I have solutions to many of the problems that you all are being talked about and brought us here today. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's the next meeting, there'll be more people, because we are not talking about what's causing the problem. The lady talked about Alzheimer's, dementia. There's a cause. Something is driving these things, making them happen. It's not people's fault because they don't do puzzles, you know, and these kind of things. So we need to take a critical look at all of this, and we need some solutions. We need some solutions. We need to get the alternative, the NHI to release some money to pay for alternative care, because it's available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. I see we have, right, thank you.
Good night, everyone. I just want to make a few comments with suggestions of how we can improve the situation.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, I want to say that why we are here tonight is because our health is our greatest asset. I want to commend the doctors. I hope the doctors don't feel we're beating on them, but really and truly, they're our best asset on Virgin Gorda. Health is. That's why we're here tonight. Please give our doctors a hand, okay? We're not against you. I have great respect for them. Now, number one, I want to talk about health briefly, and secondly, the need for a lobby. Give me a chance to explain by a lobby. Now, health contributes in Virgin Gorda. Virgin Gorda contributes financially, probably the bulk of money in tourism to the BVI coffer. I was trying to find some statistic, but I couldn't, all right? There is room for improvement, of course, but if you look, for example, you have, I call it the billionaire street. From the time you get to Mosquito all the way to Oil Nut Bear, there are about 16 billionaires in our region. How can we tap into them? Next one, there's money there. We need specifically for Virgin Gorda, one is a boat, an emergency boat that is designed only for emergency. Take that one, an ambulance boat, whatever we need. But yes, we need more staff, and Laura mentioned. Yes, we need other things. Do you know the BVI has the most financially sound social security system in the world? We have about $1 billion. They stop announcing it. We have in cash plus investment about $1 billion sitting down there available. They can give each of one of us $1 million and would not miss it. Let me ask why we cannot fix the financial problems. Why Social Security cannot be axed, because then we have to pull from them if they can't buy a boat, if they can't help fix the clinic, and things like that. We have to invent ways to solve our problems. The Social Security is a good way to beseech them, beg them, whatever. They have money. About 10 years ago, I saw the record. They had $750,000. $750 million about 10 years ago. Don't ask me how much they have today. I haven't heard any prospectus yet for them. Bear that in mind. Now, let me talk about lobbying. Under the present situation here in Virgin Gorda, and this is where we all have to understand, we're talking about health, we have to understand the power of lobbying. The second thing that we have to do, where were you all during Hurricane Irma? The day after Hurricane Irma passed, I fell during Hurricane Irma and I hurt my hip. I could not walk. I was on crutches for about a month. Someone came to me the next day and said, Mr. Fenty, let's form a group to help put together Virgin Gorda. I said, I can't. I'm on crutches. I had to come to the clinic, running generator, the doctors up and down trying to help me. Now, I said that we formed a group called The Rock, VG Rock, an independent, non-governmental thing. Which representative came here during that time? Don't answer the question. Nobody for days. Now, let me say also, during crisis that we have, and that was only one, we will have more. Are we prepared to plan these? We need a lobbying. VG Rock was our lobbying structure. Today, we have a district representative who lives on VG. But I ask you another question. Where are the at-large members today? Where are they? I am not a politician. I'm not interested in politics, period. I'm interested in helping people every day. That's what I do. Where are our at-large members? They should be here, right? Therefore, we need in Virgin Gorda independent that can lobby to our district representative, that can lobby to our government, a group that will say, listen, we ain't politicians, but do something because the people put us here. If we don't do that, where are we? You're going to quarrel with government, he quarrel with government, everybody. Forming a non-governmental, non-partisan group is the way to go. I understand something is the work, so stand by. I don't know much. I don't want to know much about it yet, but you will hear about it later. That is what we really need. I mentioned two things. Number one, the health services, and number two, a lobbying system. So the government has the power to put in place a lobbying system, but they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. The government can do that. They did it in Anegada lands. The government can say, here's your, because after the election, we said we're going to form a community group. The government say, okay, form your community group. We're going to support you, structure you, everything. I'm a historian. From the top, it comes to the bottom by revolution. And we don't want to talk about revolution. We want to talk about changing, putting structures in place. Because the night before I was at the clinic for 2 hours. One of my family members on drips for 2 hours. So I understand this situation could happen to any of us. So don't tell me anything. Any one of us can be caught in this mess. I'm saying, yes, again, we just finalize and conclude what I said. I said, number one, we do need to have better health services, improve in different areas. We pointed them out. Some other people have other ideas. And number two, we have to have. It cannot happen that the next hurricane that passed through here, who representing us? We have a group that can represent us. We know our problems. We went through the hurricane. We know we have solutions. So I'm waiting on the group to do what they have to do. We must have a group that can independently wrap it up.
Mr. Fenty, I want to thank you for those comments, and I endorse them fully. We did speak of district councils. We have to see exactly where we are at the Premier's office in getting that district council established. I think it's exactly what you've described. In terms of social security, I am giving them a new mandate in this new age to modernize their outlook on their function in societies and all organizations. And I think they need to relook in these modern times how they function. Also, social development, if you're following in the House, we did pass the Public Assistance Amendment Act 2024. That's going to change the way government handles the vulnerable. We also passed the shock response in Cabinet this week. So we are kind of on the way already, disaster shock response. Thank you, PS. This week. So we are kind of on the way to what you're describing there. And also the fact that it must be a collaborative effort between the NGOs, private sector and so forth, and the government working together with one accord. So I fully endorse what you're saying. I also want to encourage neighborhood groups. As apart from community groups, also neighborhood groups. It is so important that we all come on the same page to attack these problems. Some are very old problems, but they should not just continue to linger and linger. I do not plan to leave certain problems for the next generation. I would like to get some of these problems that I met plaguing us still out of the way in my generation. That would be my dream, to solve some of these long-standing, annoying problems. We should not play with healthcare. Our health is our first wealth. Other questions?
All right. Before you
Actually,
go,
hold on.
Honorable-
Faye had a hand up a long time ago.
Well, I
What's
just
up?
wanted,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to endorse what Mr. Fenty said in terms of community groups, and just to let you know that there have been efforts for a multidisciplinary community group that would speak a lot towards disasters and speak a lot towards health. And Ms. Nikki, I've been in communication with Ms. Nikki in order to have that established, and other members of the community also, to have that established, particularly on the sister islands. So that is something, yes, that we've been working on.
All right.
Good evening to everyone. I am Faye Reese Charles, and I'm here because I know that this is a very important meeting put on by the health authorities. Now, a few persons already said some of the things that I feel we need to really be looking into, but I'm just going to say it so to help to impress that there are things that we really need to be considering and to get in place. A few years ago, there were helipads put down over certain places in the territory. I'm not quite sure where is the helipad for here in Valley. So perhaps you will let us know exactly where that is. I do believe that for certain emergencies, that the use of a helicopter would be the best thing to get persons from here to the hospital. And so that is one of the things that we need to have in place as soon as possible. Also, the clinic doors should be unlocked. I assume that there is a security there all the time. So if the security is on the compound, that the doors should be unlocked so that if someone goes up there sick, needing emergency medical assistance, they can get inside the clinic. And a doctor and a nurse, at least, should always be at the clinic. Now, I do not expect one person, one of each, to be there for the full 24 hours. So therefore, we need a proper shift system, but that there will always be medical assistance available when it is needed. And not just to say we are opening at 7 a.m. or we closing at 10 p.m., but we should have the medical assistance available. I'm grateful to the doctor here who was able to provide medical assistance some days ago when it was really needed. Thank you, doctor. So I just want to let you know that this is a really important situation, and that's why we have so many people here. And, well, I can't stay very much longer because I'm quite occupied more nowadays. And so, yes. So I'm just impressing on you that this is a very serious meeting. Please take us seriously and do what you can as quickly as possible. Let's find the money. Someone said about the billionaires. When I have mentioned, without calling any names, I have been criticized. But I think that it is high time that they also play their special role in helping us however they can. Perhaps if they don't want to give us some of their money, maybe they will know the resources that we can tap into to get the services that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. And I'm sorry you have to leave because at the end of this meeting, I want to make some definitive statements about the outcome and the way forward. But I guess you'll see it in the news. I want to listen to everybody first before we can come and decide, okay, based on what you have said, this is what we are going to commit to. Not talk, commit to.
All right.
Okay, so we have a. All right, after her, I saw her earlier, okay, and then we'll give you a chance. So go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My thing is there
Can you
a
say your name? Sorry. Sorry, I can't see. We hiding.
It's on? You can hear me now? Okay.
Much
good.
better. Thank
My
you.
question is there a shortage of gurneys in the clinic?
Yes or no? Yes or no?
A shortage of gurneys, stretchers. No. Okay. I saw this incident twice with my dad and with my grandmother. The boat will take them to Tortola. And in the cold, in the night or day, whatever, raining, whatever, when the ambulance do decide to get to Trellis Bay, they transfer them from one gurney. Sometimes it takes like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, which the person could die within that time, to transfer them from one gurney to the next. Why is that? I asked the question before, but you could answer after, but I'm going to tell you what's the answer that I was given. They said they don't want the gurney to come to Virgin Gorda. Okay? A question I guess they would have to ask. So that's why I'm asking, do you have a shortage? Because to be honest, with my dad, he had to be transported often. We were actually in the process of buying our own gurney because it was sickening. That each time he had to be transported, they had to be lifting him from one gurney to the next, and it take 10 minutes when sometimes the ambulance takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to Trellis Bay. That's an additional 10 minutes for them to get him to the gurney and then transport him to the hospital. And then with my grandmother, she stayed at the Trellis Bay dock for 2 hours. 2 hours. She was first on the vessel, and we were waiting. They were nice enough to stay there and wait with us. And then they were like, okay, in case they have another call, they would have to go back. No ambulance came. A police vehicle came with an EMT in the vehicle. And when he came, there were 3 officers and 1 EMT in the back of a Toyota, what do you call it, a Highlander? And in the back of the Highlander, evidence boxes from whatever crime scene they had the night before. They're trying to take the back seat out and the evidence boxes so they can fit my grandmother in the gurney. She could not hold. So the captain for the vessel, he went over to Trellis Bay Market, happened to see Mr. Penn, who was the Minister for Health and Social Development at the time, and he came over trying to take the seat out of his personal vehicle to transport her. Okay? She could not hold. Then a taxi came, tried to do the same thing. A fire officer that was doing his rounds on the airport on the strip, he actually saw us and he came over. He said, y'all need any assistance? We can let you use the truck. My uncle said, no, my mother is not going in a truck in the hot sun to be driven from Trellis Bay to Rotown. Okay? So we called a private ambulance. Okay? At the time, the ambulance said they were on another call. So we had to sit and wait. They had her under a tree. Yeah. They had her under a tree, and as I said, this is 2 hours waiting. She was 101, okay? And she was strong before she left there. 2 days after she died of dehydration. That's what they told her, she was dehydrated. Now you tell me. So, I just need some answers, please. I'm going to go.
So what's her name? So I'm aware of, I know the incident that you're speaking about. And that was one of the challenges we had in the past, which we don't have anymore, was around the number of ambulances and the issues with not having enough ambulances. So you would know that since then, we now have enough ambulances that we have a default in place. So there shouldn't be a recurrence of that. I don't know that we've had a recurrence of that. And since then, we answered that before. We said, no, there's no shortage. Dr. Shanake answered. Right. I understand that. But we don't have a shortage.
Again, let's try to keep the respectfully allow the CEO to answer.
So it's certainly
and then
not,
we have an opportunity.
that doesn't
Thank
happen
you.
because there's a shortage, okay? So we need to look to find out why the Gurney's can't come back.
Mr. Grange, after this gentleman, we'll turn to this. Raise your hand so that he sees you. So over to him after. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm Sonny Prince. I'm disappointed to hear the panel come here this evening and haven't even say my sympathy to the family, which is my cousin. I feel I'm very disrespectful of you all. Second thing, you all is calling the incident that it is, you call it an event. How could it be an event? We are back to where Mr. Fartner, Honorable Fartner, in 1949, had a match talking about the concern of health care in the BVI. He brought it to Tortola. Now, 75 years after, we are here in the same 9th district of Mr. Fartner talking about the same issue. I think we all should be ashamed. And you all should be ashamed to come here and what you got, a North Song Valley, and don't even address humanitarian-wise and say, my deepest sympathy to the family. It's sad. So much other issues here. No paramedics, no, you all can't get set up here and got this kind of condition in the country. It's sad, man. That's all I got to really say with y'all. This is sad.
I believe we would have said and offered condolences. Several of the panelists had said that earlier. I don't know, maybe you may not have been here at the time, but that was said. We did. It was said. Sorry.
Look like it's night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I respect everybody's decision, everybody comments here. But I'm going to talk about personal experience. My concern is two things. Somebody asked the question, why should we have to go all the way to Chalice Bay and not Road Town on a boat when we're leaving here? And the next thing, why they doesn't allow our family members to follow us? The reason for this, I took sick, I couldn't breathe properly, and I went to the clinic. My wife came with me. They decided I have to go to Tola. They sent me to Tola. My wife have to beg them to come with me. Beg to come with me. They actually decide, let she go. Listen me carefully. When I went down Chalice Bay, I couldn't breathe. And I saw the ambulance there. That time the ambulance was on time. But the guys said the ambulance have a problem and they locked the key inside. You hear a story now. I can't breathe. They already took the thing from me on Virgin Gorda here. They cannot get the oxygen or anything to put on me. My wife were watching each other. But so I'm a spiritual man. I didn't get excited. I start to pray. And I sat there. They tried to call the hospital. They couldn't get anybody. We waiting. I can't breathe. And I decided to pray, and I pray, and I pray, and I pray, and I was saying to my wife, so when are we going to get the ambulance here? I asked the guy, where's the ambulance? They haven't touched base with the ambulance yet. So another ambulance, they said, should come, and I was there, and I was there. And after prayer, and I want to use the bathroom so bad. And I tell my wife, you know what? I'm going to take this thing they have on me, and they had a thing on me, and I pull it off. And I decided I'm going to the bathroom, and I walk all the way over to the bay, and I went to the bathroom. And just because of prayer, and I was praying, when the ambulance came back, I was saying to my wife, we could go Virgin Gorda and come back before the ambulance reached. When I reached the hospital, they offered me wheelchair and Charlie. I say, I don't need that. I walk inside because the grace of God helped me to be able to walk strong to get inside. How many of us would be so unfortunate? If it wasn't the so fortunate, sorry. If it wasn't for the grace of God, my wife would be singing a different song kit tonight. So I'm saying to you guys, why are we going all the way to Chalice Bay when we couldn't just go? And somebody talk about helicopter. Why you guys can't provide that? You guys need to look into that and get a helicopter here for us. Brethren, I'm not talking about somebody tell me no. I'm talking about personal experience, and you guys have to be in my shoes. The day when I couldn't breathe and realized that the key lock up in an ambulance and the equipment the accident supposed to put on me is inside there. You don't want to go down that. You don't want to have that feeling. So brethren, we are here because we are serious. This is not a joke thing. And I don't want you guys to just write down notes and after you can't find the book with the notes. Deal with this thing. This is all I have to say. We'll do better.
Thank you for your testimony.
Good night, everyone. I heard someone spoke about not hiring doctors because there's no space. We have a building at the back of the clinic. Why is it not vacant 7 years after Alma? There are still residents. Upstairs, the second floor of the clinic is a shell. It doesn't even have plastering. So we have space. So why are we not fixing the space?
Okay, the question was sorry, I stepped out, sir.
The space above the clinic and the empty building to the back.
Okay, so I would have mentioned earlier that we're working towards repairing the empty building at the back. We've already done designs. They're being costed right now with the intention that those costs would be included in the 2021-25 budget. So that's the, and again, persons may not be familiar with the process that these things take and how we go about it. So that is what we're working on right now. The next point around the upstairs of the second story, right? The second story of the North O'Neill Clinic. We've noted the need for some remedial works. The facility was damaged, so that already is one of the items that is in our capital expenditure for this year, 2024. And we're hoping once the minister mentioned it earlier, once we have that approved by the House of Assembly, those funding will be available where we will be able to do the repairs to the second story floor of the North O'Neill Clinic. Okay?
My question is to you, madam. Why are we working toward getting that building up and running when we don't have doctors to put in it? When they are ready to get a challenge finding doctors.
And
why you don't put our resources toward finding the doctors? There is space on Virgin Gorda. We have space there.
I think she may have answered that question before. Dr. Samuel, do you want to? Dr. Samuel, you want to weigh in or repeat what you would have repeated before?
We haven't stopped trying to find doctors. That's an ongoing process. We haven't stopped, right? So, right. So, right. The funding.
I think one of the things that needs to be clearly understood, even in this process, right? At the end of the day, one of the challenges is that if we have a space for them to occupy, one of the things that one of the doctors mentioned earlier is that in the recruitment process, it's more of the senior doctors who are willing to come to the
You guys have an apartment up on the hill of head with one person in right now. It's a two-bedroom. We have space for another doctor.
Which is that? I can't speak to the HSA.
You guys know what I'm speaking about. The apartment at top of mine. With
could have a doctor is there. So I don't know. So where paramedic is? I don't know. Really? It's empty. Yeah. I'm surprised.
Okay, so we have another question. Thank you.
Okay, good night. My question is, can the government look into creating a health school where locals and foreigners can go? So by doing this, building local doctors and attracting foreign doctors from abroad? Can the government look into creating a health school? So where locals and foreigners could go so that we can build all local doctors and attract foreigners?
So good night again, everybody. Thank you for the particular question, and I'll contribute in two ways. First of all, you talk about effectively developing medical professionals. I'm pleased to say that the Health Service Authority, in conjunction with the government, we're in the process of actually starting a nursing school in conjunction with the community college, and we expect that should start next year. So we have a number of persons within the Health Service Authority that we actually want to train within the nursing profession, because that's the linchpin for all of the medical services that we provide, is that as opposed to doctors, we need nurses and more nurses. So we are looking at that. Separately, we have been in discussion with a medical school over the last year or so. Since I joined the Health Service Authority in March of 2023, we've been in discussion with a particular medical school. We've gone through several iterations in terms of what that medical school would look like. But hopefully within the next number of months, at least hopefully within the next year, we would have a medical school in place. That medical school would be a private entity. It would be recruiting its own students. But one of the things that we would be negotiating for is that if we could get a number of scholarships to that medical school, and as such place a number of our potential doctors and whomever within that medical school. Hopefully that answers the question. Also, I want to add as well, because I heard a lot of discussions going around. I was quiet on the discussion because ultimately it talks about budget, and that's the main thing that the Board of Directors, the Health Service Authority, has been dealing with over the last year in terms of trying to renegotiate our budget in terms of the monies that we collect, the monies that for the services that we provide, that we ultimately get paid for, because there are a number of things that we really have to address, that we provide certain services that we don't get paid for. We are discussing in terms of how we can get paid for that. And once we're able to revise our budget, because a lot of things that are being discussed now are a lot of things that we've already discussed as well, but we're preventing, again, addressing them simply put because we don't have the budget. But we still continue to have the negotiations because in terms of what we get paid, and hopefully the CEO made mention earlier that effectively, we effectively collect $42 million a year, but the cost of operating the Health Service Authority is more than that. And we see where certain deficiencies are in terms of the money that we need to collect, and we are trying to address those things. And in addressing those things, we address a number of your particular concerns. I also want to address the concern, because I heard mention that we seem to be somewhat uncaring about the situation over in here in Virgin Gorda. What I would add is on joining the Health Service Authority, one of the first things we did, and I asked for everybody to do, because we may not have visited all of the clinics. So one of the things I ask is that we go and we visited all of the clinics, Sister Island clinics especially. We went to the board, we came over here first to Gorda, went to North Cyrus, went to North Sound, and then we went over to Anegada to basically sensitize ourselves in terms of the various issues that the particular facilities face. That was on one day. Separate day, we went down to Capone's Day, visited that facility, and then we took a boat over to Yosundai, understand what the particular situation is over Yosundai. Later in that day, we went to East End, Long Loop, went to Road Town. So,
can we get back to the
I don't know what I want to add to. I appreciate the question. It's something we looked at, the need to build local capacity on Ireland. And I must commend Sapphire for that course, the recent ENT course. And the medical school that we're going to try to establish has been trying for a very long time. But allow us to use some of those medical students to help fill some of the gaps that we currently have. So we're working feverishly on. Also, we plan a recruitment drive to bring some of our export doctors and nurses who are overseas, who are educated by the BVI government, to please give us some of that time you have as opposed to giving all of it to foreign countries. We think it's for people. And we have excellent doctors and nurses, BVI members all over the world. We're trying to engage them, we're trying to say, okay, come back, help us build our country. You can't pay what you will learn. National progress. Thank you.
So we have a question, okay. And then I see three hands and you said Damien. Good. Go ahead, Ms. George. Good evening. Good evening.
Are the front desk staff at the clinic and the hospital, are they medically trained or are they EMTs? Do they have any kind of medical knowledge at all, like for emergencies? The administration staff in the front.
Thanks. The administrative team is made up of varied roles, but generally not all of them are trained with at least basic life support, but it's part of our strategic plan. Part of that has to do with being able to fund it. There are courses available, and I myself personally have lobbied for them to get it done, but then they say, how am I going to pay for it?
Okay, because I have noticed that in certain emergencies, the staff in the front have no idea. They cannot even assist anyone with anything.
There are certain roles that they can play during an emergency which are non-clinical, which we do rope them in to do, and those are more the clerical stuff that need to be done for emergency as well. But I do agree with your point, because just we don't have enough numbers, so many persons as possible that can be trained in even at least basic life support would be very beneficial. So support for that, in being able to fund those things, because people are willing to be trained, but they just can't afford it.
And another thing, I am from the North Sound, and the clinic has been closed now for a while. Sometimes it's open a day, sometimes it's not. And someone mentioned earlier, with the doctor being on call and he lives in the North Sound, how long it would take him to get to the valley. If someone takes sick up there and it's, if it has a tragic accident or something, like, we don't even have a clinic. We have a lot of vulnerable seniors up there, and the clinic is not open. We don't have anyone working there. We don't have anyone living there. There's a building, living quarters upstairs. What is really going on with that? Like, is there no funding to have someone live there? I understand the last person, the nurse that was there, she had to pay rent. So I'm trying to find out what's really going on with the clinic in the North Sound.
So I think that the chairman addressed that, Kathy. Can't see you. Right, so the chairman addressed it earlier. So the clinic has been refurbished, right? We had to do some refurbishing since the hurricane. The upstairs apartment has been, we just need some furniture. And once we get the staff in, because part of the nurses that are being recruited are for North Sound. So somebody. Well, hopefully within the next couple of months. Because we are the recruit. So something I need us to understand, recruitment is ongoing. We don't stop recruiting. We always, sorry? Understood, but we've refurbished it, and once we have enough staff, we will be placing somebody back in North Sound. Understood.
Okay, so we have the lady standing here.
Hello, good night. My name is Bernadette George. I wanted to raise 3 points, please. One, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but if someone from Virgin Gorda gets very ill and needs to go to Tortola, we have to take the boat, but we have to pay $350 into the clinic before we can get on a boat. So my number one question is that something that can be subsidized or, you know, a receipt claim from NHI or something? It's not that everyone has $350 lying around to immediately pay that before you can even get on a private boat to go over. That's one. Dr. Fraser, I believe you said that the scheduling of doctors start at 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. I was there for an emergency a week and a half ago, and I was told that it was 9 o'clock, and I ended up waiting to closer to 10. If you're not feeling well or you have an issue during the night, you're quite likely to wait until next morning to go to the clinic. So can we please move that up to a doctor being there from 8 o'clock? Yes. 7. Whatever it is, I can just tell you that 9 o'clock is too late because it's just too late, right? And the last question I have, we're talking a lot about the staffing, having doctors there. Why is it, and I'm speaking a little bit from personal experience here, because I have worked assisting an expatriate who has purchased a house on Virgin Gorda, and he has had experience with Doctors Without Borders and the Mercy Ship, and all he wants to do is volunteer his time. I'm sure all of you know him. It took me 3 years to get permission for him to volunteer in the BVI. Every time his application got from one desk to the other, he had to go to Interpol, Pentagon, something, and get a new police report in the US. Every year, he now has his permission to volunteer. He's volunteering, he's not looking for payment. He's adding personnel to a type of medicine that we have no one in the BVI that does it. Why is there such resistance to allowing people to volunteer? Okay? And the last, so that was 3, but I do want to add this by extension. That same gentleman, on one of his annual visits to Virgin Gorda, went to the old clinic and he wrote a little note. My name is so-and-so and I would like to donate some medical equipment to the clinic. That note was put in one of those plastic jackets on the wall, and for a year and a half I went to the clinic and I saw his note in that plastic jacket. Nobody contacted him to accept his generosity. Now when he travels to Virgin Gorda, he travels with his own dental and whatever equipment. He brings things. So my thing is we have a problem with we need the doctors, and we have people who are willing to volunteer and give their services, their experience, their international experience for free. Why is there such resistance to accepting this generosity? Thank you.
Through the authority, I would.
So as it relates to, as it relates to medical volunteers, part of the process that they have to go through is a process of registration with the BVI Medical and Dental Council. At the Health Services Authority, we are always happy to have volunteers, but they have to go through the registration process first.
The Medical and Dental Council is governed through the Ministry of Health. So that's where persons will have to go through that process.
Yeah, hold on. Permission is given through the Medical and Dental Council. That council members had expired. They were reinstated, I think, last week. So that process should now be ongoing.
But even outside of whether or not there's a board, there is a process that still provides the opportunity for specialist cares to be able to be registered. So those are... To answer the question, it's about making sure that those individuals go through the application and they have that opportunity once they're registered in order to operate and practice, even in a volunteer option. Go ahead.
Sorry, thank you. What can be done to speed up the process for someone who is applying to volunteer? I understand they need to register, they need to go, what is it called, FBI. They go in the US and every year they get a new FBI police report and all that. What can be done? I mean, that person is not going to become a criminal in 1 year. He's been volunteering. So what can be done to speed up the process to allow these people to volunteer of their time for free?
I think we have our CEO or CMO here, Dr. Georges. If you could speak to it, I think understandably, whether or not they could just come down, please. Understandably, I think people just want to understand what the process entails and why it may take the period that it does.
No, I don't want to call a name, but I think I know the doctor you're speaking about, Bernadette. Yes. I think I know who it is talking about.
You do understand. I'm not picking on any person or anything because certain ones of you sitting up there know him and you have been instrumental in getting it done. But I can tell you, if he did not have someone in my position here, because I was the agent that sold him something, if I wasn't here locally and pushing that forward, it would never have been done. So thank you, Dr. Georges and June Samuel. Thank you, because there are certain people up here who did help push that forward. I'm just saying that his situation is not unique. There are other expatriate doctors who purchase property here or who are invested in some way on Virgin Gorda and willing to volunteer of their time. We need to stop making the process of accepting their generosity so impossible.
So, Dr. Georges, if you don't mind, I have had to deal with the registration process for new physicians coming in. And while it's not an excuse, it may give you an idea as to part of the delay. Most times when we receive the documents, because sometimes we do get forged documents, we also have to verify the documents with the department that issued the document. And sometimes, believe it or not, when you seek that verification, it takes forever, and you have to be doing numerous follow-ups. So sometimes the delay is not necessarily in-house, it can also be external. Again, it's not an excuse, it's just to give you an idea as to what you go through in terms of the registration process.
But if I can just respond a little bit. So I think once the person is registered, the continued licensing should not be as onerous. If there are issues, then we need to know about them and to streamline them. But the initial vetting process is quite intensive. But once they're in the process, that it should not be as onerous to to continue getting your license done. I don't see the reason why somebody needs to have another police background check every year. but it's something I will definitely look into and make sure that's streamlined. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Barbara Stevens Creaky, and I have a comment that I would like to make. Hopefully, it will be helpful. We all have our stories to tell. Mine goes back more than 24 years. Having a notice pinned or taped to the clinic doors can be helpful, but not when someone is in full panic mode. It doesn't work. And I had my experiences with that. However, I would like to suggest that moving forward, that the Health Services Authority try to look at students who are in high school, pick them from there and point them in the right direction. We need to have more locally trained nurses and doctors. And of course, you have to make sure that you have a package that is going to entice them to come back home, because out there, they are getting a salary that makes us look pitiful. I would also like to ask that after this evening, all the ideas that have come forward, that you take no more than 2 weeks to put it all together with a timeline and let us know what will be happening in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month, in a year. It's not rocket science, people. We can do this. We here on Virgin Gorda have been patient for too long. And unfortunately, the sleeping bear has been poked. And tonight, we are not asking nicely. We are demanding that we get our fair share. It is long overdue. It is long overdue. I know that some of the problems go back, like I said, 25, 30, 40 years. But we have advanced. We are expected when we work that from our salary, taxes are going into the government. Set priorities. Set priorities. Healthcare, education, those are things, and of course the roads. We are not going to talk about that tonight. Those are things that should be our top priority. It's all fun to have parties and so forth and to travel here and there. But your people are crying out. We demand better services on Virgin Gorda and Enigada. I have had my fair share here on Virgin Gorda, and I also had an incident in Enigada. I'm not going to bore you with the details. But let me tell you, we spend a lot more for healthcare when we live on the outer islands than I'm sure those who live on Tortola do. Because we have to pay for a plane to fly us out at night, or we have to pay for a boat to take us across choppy waters. We go through a lot. And tonight, the buck stops with you guys. We are demanding. That's all I have to say. So in 2 weeks, you can put out another notice that tells us what we can expect within 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. It is time.
Thank you, Barbara, and I want to commend you for your outreach to local students. I checked online briefly a while ago. We have some local doctors in the States tuned in, listening to this meeting. So I'm glad you're appealing to our local doctors and nurses that we need their help here in their own country. So thank you for that appeal to them.
I just want to ask one question. How many nurses does it take to run the clinic good and functionally? How many nurses? Just like when you have a meeting, you need to have a quorum. How many nurses it takes to run the clinic Probably, and also how many nurses you have now, and how many doctors, and how many doctors you have now, so we can know what we are dealing, what kind of service we are getting here in Virgin Gorda.
So in order for the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic to be operating at full staff, you need between 16 registered nurses and midwives. At present, we have 8. We have 8 registered nurses and registered midwives. The doctors, in order for 24/7, full 24, where the doctors are on ground, both for urgent care and primary care, you need 10. Presently, we have 5.
Thank you. I would like to make a quick, suggestion along with...
Mr. Fenty, I am sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this gentleman needs to go since you have had an opportunity, and then you can go after, okay?
Okay, quickly. Good night. My name is Gregory George. I have Pastor Gregory George. I have an observation, and then I have a comment for a real life situation that I experienced years ago, and then I heard somebody referencing the same thing. The clinic recently, with the generator issue and the electricity, got damaged. And I think this is what created a lot of this situation here. My question is, what happened to the old clinic that we were before? Because I understand that generator was still functioning. So the generator for the clinic wasn't functioning. You moved to the admin building. But the generator for the clinic that we've always been in for years, the old structure, the generator was working. What happened to the structure? So, and then the other observation I made, and let me say this here. Sometimes it's very difficult to speak truth. Because when I say that, I'm not supporting a lie. I'm saying sometimes it's difficult to speak truth because you don't want to seem as though you're throwing somebody under the bus. And I think that's where people feel reserved. But we have to come to terms that there's a lot of gaps missing and they're becoming critical. So I went to the clinic, the old clinic. There was a dentist operating there. I know him, really nice dentist. I realized that my children were going in and out quick. So I was on the outside. When I walked in the room, because I had to go with my little son, so I had to go in. The dentist just had a little scalpel in his hand. I don't know what that tool is. And that's all he was like scraping the teeth, the little thing to scrape the teeth. And I'm thinking to myself, are we playing games? So you tell me come to do a dental check and you go in there and all the dentist is doing is and scraping the teeth, you good. And I didn't say anything. I just walked out and I felt bad. I was like, man, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. But I left and I said, I'm going to say, but I heard something the other day and the same thing I just heard, I witnessed for myself. I was at the clinic years ago with an emergency. The guy passed on. I watched that guy passed on. He held my hands. He looked at the wall and he said, somebody help me. The doctor at the time stood over him with a defibrillator and the battery was dead. I kid you not. I kid you not. I've never really said this here because I know some of the nurses and the doctors at the clinic and they're wonderful people. My son got a gash at a pool facility here. I couldn't even look at it. 11 stitches. Dr. Robinson saw him. He was very calm, very cool, and collective. He said, I have to do some plastic surgery. I usually cut my son hair. I give him a line out, and I could hardly see where that cut, that gash, he got in a pool. It wasn't his fault. That's another case. They were good people. I looked at the doctor and I said, doctor, the battery is dead. He said, no. And he pretended. I said, what? I stood there and I said, this is frightening. I looked at the oxygen level and I said, there's no oxygen. This years ago. I didn't say this to anybody. I said, man, I don't want to throw the nurses and the doctor that I know under the... I spoke to them privately and said, guys, this is concerning. And then somebody told me recently that they had the same situation with a defibrillator. I'm saying here, we need to make sure, as a medical staff, I'm saying, with my training in aviation, if you fly a plane, before you go and you take that plane off, you got to do a checklist. You got to go through, you got to check your leading edge on your propeller, you got to check your brakes, your foil, you got to check everything before you turn that engine on. I'm saying, when the nurses and the doctors go to work, do they check the emergency system? Like, how quick can we respond? How quick? Do they check the checklist? Like, check oxygen, check defibrillator battery, check. I'm just saying, the other day, I looked at one of the nurses, really nice people, love them. My father was at a hospital the other day, at a clinic, and he had to go to Tartola, and I'm standing there waiting. And I said, what are we waiting? She says, raining. I said, y'all don't have an umbrella? She said, no. I said, guys, this is critical seconds you're dealing with. I said, nurse, take it from me. When you have a problem like this, write it down. See how you could solve it so it don't reoccur again. See how you could solve this. Walked outside, and the door from the door to the ambulance waste park is not biggie. And then we reach at the dock, and I'm saying, at times I feel as if there is no emergency on Virgin Gorda. That's how I feel. We don't have emergencies. They don't exist. I was in the hospital with my father when he was in Florida for treatment, and I was in the room, and the alarm system on the whatever apparatus they were using beep. 11 nurses and doctors and healthcare workers ran to the room. And I said, what's going on? What's happening? She said, he's getting a fever. I said, fever? She said, yeah, we got to run him to the lab to check why his body, that's a sign that he has an infection. I said, what? I said, that with a BVI? Man, that's a fever, is a fever. No, but the problem that when I walk in a clinic with as good, and I love these doctors and nurses, and I ain't throwing them under the bus, I love you guys, but I feel like there's never an emergency. So we got time, and if you die, it was your time. We got to do better. And I will close with this. I want to close with this. Because I've lived across from the clinic, and I know those nurses, and I love some of the nurses I know from a kid. I feel, as a BVI and as more so a Virgin Gordian, I feel where that statement, we had a slogan going around, one BVI. That is a lie. There's no one BVI. There's a Tartola BVI. There's a Tartola BVI. Not a one BVI. And I say this here with all apologies, man, from the depths of my heart, because I thought, should I say something or should I not? Because there's a problem with us. Because the truth is, the first time in my life, I am literally starting to see that there's victimization on this island. And through the whole BVI, there's victimization. And I must say it. And that stuff is concerning because this is concerning. It is very concerning. And I say this here, Honorable, because this can't just lay on your shoulder. The problem that we have, I'm seeing here, is that there seems to be a mindset that Tartola is the most brilliant group of people. And Anegada and Virgin Gorda, they're dumb. But I rebuke them in the name of Jesus Christ. We got brilliant people. We got resourceful people right on this island. And I can name out a set of people because we got put stop to this stuff. Because I'm seeing it. It's a trend. It's a trend that is coming. If you ain't from Tartola, and you ain't got an answer from Tartola, we sure ain't got it on Virgin Gorda. Honorable, you know this firsthand. We need to see. This is what I would like. This is what I recommend, and I have no more to say. I don't know. I'm just thinking out my mind, like in America, like the central federal government, but you have states that have their laws. You have state laws. They govern their state according to how their state should be run. I feel like Virgin Gorda need a bit more autonomy. We need to be a bit more autonomous. We can't be governed from Tartola like we've been governed years ago no more. That day is done. We need more people. I'll ask a question, and I'm ask a question. If I ask who is the board, if there's a board, who are the people, and is there anybody from Virgin Gorda on the board? They have? Okay. This is what I'm going to say. I feel as if we need a board of Virgin Gordians that are capable to be as I don't know how you put it, I don't know the legal term. They need their own support administrative team for the clinic. That we could, when we have problems, we could at least share that problem among ourselves and come up with all the resources we have here. We have intelligence on our island. So we don't need answers to be coming from Tartola every single time. We need to solve those problems right over here. Y'all just need to give us the authority to do so. And that's all I'm saying, because if we don't put a stop to this, Honorable Minister, if we don't put a stop to this, I'm telling y'all, I'm saying this out of the kindness of my heart, it ain't gonna look good for us as a people. Because it's really not good. If you're gonna empower the BVI, you're gonna empower all the people. And we need to see our people more involved in the decision making of our institutions. We can't have it so Tatolo heavy. We can't have it central government heavy. We need more involvement of our people so we can help solve our problem. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. George. We had another.
Could I quickly just respond to that? You asked if there were any members of the board who are from Virgin Gorda. Yes, there are members. Were members of the board. And the reason is because the term expired and haven't been reappointed. But there were members of the board. Now, they're in the process of reappointing. You have to ask the minister in terms of the actual members. But again, from my time serving as the chairman, there were members of the board. I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is that there were members of the board who were from Virgin Gorda, and there are new members to be appointed. So again, hopefully in the appointment of those members, your concerns will be considered. But I just wanted to inform the group that there were members of the board who were from Virgin Gorda.
Just let me add to that if I can quickly. In the past, ministers used to choose members for the board. In the current new paradigm, you have to go through an application process. It's currently happening now, so I encourage you all, look at applications and apply. You have to apply. You can no longer say, I want you, I want you, I want you. You have to go through this new process right now.
And we agree with you. We support that, but it's just so that the persons will have to apply and go through that process. So what we would say is we encourage persons, if you're here, if you have an interest, please, I think recently NDS Smith could also mention it. We want people to apply for these posts when they advertise. We're right now going through the recruitment for a number of key roles, a number of key committees, including the Medical and Dental Council, Allied Health Council, our BVI Health Services Authority Board, which other one we have right now? The nurses and midwives. So if you have family members, persons that have an interest and want to make an impact, even in your own communities, this is one of the options that's available. Applications are normally done through online. I mean, not online, but you can submit your interest letter. The applications, the advertisements are usually placed on all the government websites. You could please take advantage of this opportunity. We welcome the engagement of our sister island persons in those committees as well.
What I want to add, one of the most important committees in BVI is a Public Assistance Committee, and that committee is chaired by a Virgin Gorda for the BVI. That committee. Can I name you, sir? Pastor Gregory Jones, the chair of that committee. Thank you. And I thank you for agreeing to serve.
There was a question.
My name is Nirvani Christie, and my question is, what backup plan do you have in place for the pharmacy when the system is done? Now, in June of this year, I fell and I sprained my ankle. I was in a lot of pain. I received a prescription from the doctor. The prescription had my name, the name of the tablets, for how many days I need to take it for, the milligram and everything. When my husband took the prescription to the pharmacy, he was told that the system is done and I wouldn't be able to get the medication. Now, all depends on what time of the day it is. I may not be able to catch the boat. Eureka Medical, at the pharmacy, they may not have the tablets that I need. But Iris O'Neil have it and I can't have it? Are you saying your system is more important than my health? What happened too long ago when we used to use book and pens? Report the medication that went out. The prescription has everything. You don't need a computer to read it for you. My husband had to make fuss. He had to quarrel. And he told him, I'm not living here. My wife is not going through this weekend without any medication. And that's when they gave him four tablets to use for the weekend until Monday. You should not have to fuss and quarrel. It seems like your system is more important than my health. You have the medication, but I can't have it. It doesn't make sense.
Samuel has a response to it.
So that there's a process in place. If our system goes down, right, we have something called a downtime process that we activate that allows for the services to continue, both in pharmacy, lab, imaging, all of the systems. Okay? So that should not have happened. Okay? And that is something that, again, we're taking note that we will need to check with the staff to find out why that would have happened. But that shouldn't happen. Because it's the same across health services. We have a downtime system there.
Good night, Jerry Hopkins. It's not a question, it's a comment. You said that since the incident last Friday, stuff was put in place to fix that issue if possible to go to the clinic. So I had an emergency this Wednesday gone. About 5:50, I reached to the clinic. The door was locked. The nurse was on the inside. I couldn't see the nurse. I'm knocking on the door. I'm in panic mode. Knocking on the door, pulling on the door, shouting, nobody. And that's when I realized, oh, look, we have a sign. Have to ask someone, go to my vehicle, get my phone. By that time, by the time the phone reached to me for me to call his number, there's the security on the inside. Do a latch, some kind of switch or something. Open the door. How may I help you? 5:50 in the morning. How may I help you? That's from the security. That door should not be locked. If the nurse is on the inside, if there's no one working, then fine. But that security is supposed to be on the outside. He on the inside and gonna ask me, how may I help you? That's not his house. Okay, so that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed. It's an automatic door. As we walk to that door is supposed to open.
So, I would like to make two quick suggestions. Number one is, I've been involved in first aid.
Don't go too fast.
Okay, what is wrong?
No, don't go too fast.
Okay.
Don't speak too fast.
Again, two suggestions. I've been involved in First Aid and Red Cross from 1983 in Tortola and in Virgin Gorda. I've been trained in first responder, second responder defibrillation. I've been to Montserrat, all over in terms of training. The question is, please provide first aid training for the police. The police need to have first aid training. There's something called incident command. I went to a session some time ago. An accident occurred right in my area, and I came upon it. Immediately I kind of panicked, but then I calmed down. I said, I know what to do. So I got out of my car, parked on the side. I said, what happened here? And I was told that one car slammed into an next. I saw it there, and I said, where are the guys? Everybody was just watching, looking. This is not the first time I saw this happen, not the second time. Everybody's watching. I said, where are the guys? What's happening? The guy told me, oh, the guy is in the car. I said, in the car? So I went, are you okay? He said, yes, I'm okay. Can you walk? And so I said, okay, well, just come and sit over here. I don't know. So I asked him to help me, have him just sit there. Don't move. And I asked some person to watch him. The other guy said, where's the other car? He was standing up there. I said, he's standing, so I said, he's standing there. So I said, okay, come with me. sit here, I had some person also watching. Then I said, anybody call the police? They said, no. I said, well, call the police. And then I had to call the police myself. The police came. And they went to check on the car. They checked on the car and started to spray. Nobody checked on their people. I'm not criticizing them. I'm saying constructively, as part of the whole health services program, we need to train the police in incident command. Now, I mentioned this to Laura, that I would try to get, I've been trying to get first aid training up here so I can upgrade. Now, I know I've been a first aid instructor and teacher for years. I taught first aid almost in every church in this place already. I have tried, but I'm retired from that now, but I'm trying to get training for Virgin Gorda, first aid training, so that I can share this with the police and so on and so forth. I'm passionate about this because it's our health. So I'm asking you in your capacity, if you could instruct or get it done so we have first aid training on Virgin Gorda. I know the Red Cross does the thing too, but something in your capacity, you can liaise with them to have it done at least twice a year. I know it's Red Cross, I've worked with them, and somehow whoever can do it, we can have it done on Virgin Gorda. For people like me who want to get involved, Laura Chi is involved in the search and rescue and so on. We need training, basic level. Teachers, children choking, don't know what to do. And the training is ongoing because you have to be recertified. I've recertified about 10 times. I need recertification so I can still contribute to the community. People call me from different schools, they still go and teach them, they say, I cannot give you a certification. So please work on that, number one. Number two, part of the problem we have is a political problem with the matter of health for Virgin Gorda. If we took, for example, the roads that need fixing on Virgin Gorda and decided to call them the Richard Bronson Highway, would we have a problem with repairs? Would we ask Bronson, this is your road, can you fix it? Would we have a problem with repairs? If we ask Mr. Johnson and all not, we're going to name a road after you, would we have a problem with that? We have 14 billionaires plus many, many millionaires on Virgin Gorda, and we don't name anything after them for whatever reason, so we cannot expect to get, you have to give. In the Cayman Islands, I went there, the Cayman Islands has used that strategy effectively. Go there and see. All the roads are clean. The government has nothing to do with cleaning roads. They send the team, all the billionaires in the Cayman Islands, they clean all the roads, and this road is named after this institute. And against that, this is a suggestion, please consider. Our health in Virgin Gorda is too important to play with. And if it is one of the things that can be used, we cannot afford to be saying, okay, give this money to go through government for this. If we can do it, we can get it done to it. After Hurricane Irma, a friend of mine called me from Germany. He said, Paul, I will fix all the schools in the BVI. I will fix all. I have resources from Germany. You can fix all the schools. I called the education department, said this guy is going to fix every school in the BVI. They tell me, send the money has to go to the Minister of Education. The guy said, oh, what? No, I don't. No. The guy said, we'll fix all the schools. That was over. I'm saying we have to consider that as an option, but people are looking for recognition and so on. So how we can, in this community, we cannot afford. So 2 suggestions again. Please start naming roads and getting the billionaires involved. Number 2, consider training for Virgin Gorda that we in turn can train in turn, especially specific frontline people. People at the clinic, people, the police officers, principals of school, and so on an ongoing basis. This is not Totola. We have the Red Cross and they're going to train over there. I try to get up there, about 2 or 3 days I have to go away. Okay, so just bear with me.
Thank you, Mr. Fritz.
Mr. Fritz, thank you for your 2 comments there. Noted. Before you have noticed, it's after 8 o'clock and the team is still here. And I want to commend the team. I want to commend the team for staying past 8 o'clock boat because there is a later boat. However, time is going and people have to leave. So
just one moment.
We're going to get a few more questions and then we really have to close out. Go ahead.
Okay. In terms of being timely, you know, there's a situation right now with the elderly home. The time frame in persons getting into the elderly home is they have to do this, they have to do that. And persons are on the waiting list. Where's the priority? You know, we tell you that, you know, they have other persons on the list, but there's no priority. Do not wait until what happened last week Saturday to happen to get people in the home. Persons in the home are dying, and there's nobody replacing them, and people still cannot get in. So that is a situation that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, because there are persons that need immediate intervention in getting into that home right now. And please do not wait for something to happen.
Okay, good night. Sorry to come up again. I bounced off of Mr. Fenty's thought process on training other people in the community. My suggestion as well would be to get all of our doctors and nurses comfortable swimming. Because this is a concern for me, and I'm sure it is for them, because I saw the look on the face of one of the nurses today when she found out she had to go on a boat to Tortola, and she don't swim. That's concerning, because if you're putting someone on a boat to provide medical care and they can't swim, where do you think their priority and their mind is? That is not fair on them. And I think we either need to empower them to learn, or we need to put different people on the boat who can swim. Because that's a reality. A patient is not going to get the proper care, nor can you expect a doctor or nurse to give it if they are petrified of the water and drowning. And we know that we travel in rough seas, so we need to think seriously about that, or changing up how you run that system. That was pulling off of Mr. Fenty. Some of the things that we're talking, Mr. Fenty, the billionaires are not going to give money, and I'm going to tell you why. They're just not going to donate to the government. I'm sorry, that is the reality, and that is a struggle here. They are not. If you let them and give them a wish list and say, can you purchase this, and they get to deliver it to the clinic, you can stack it. I'm sure you can. So will other people, okay? But that's not going to happen. I think everything we're discussing honestly comes down to accountability. And that's a question that I actually have, because when we speak about doors being locked, and I'm hearing a lot of, we don't know that this is happening. My question is, who is not enforcing and reporting it? Because there is a huge lack of accountability. And I think everyone has seen it, experienced it, and I don't need an answer right now because I'm not putting anyone on the spot. But what is being discussed here is someone is not doing their job. Because I know running a school, that if that door isn't open at 7:30, they come into my house to drop the children off. Or they're calling down my phone. I don't have the choice to not be there when I'm supposed to be there. So I think we seriously need to look at who is running the show. I have that question. I truly don't know, but people are not doing their jobs, and this doesn't come down to 5:30 in the morning. You can reach the clinic, and even when there was a scheduled shift at 9 o'clock, and you would be told there is no doctor here, scheduled, not on call. And guess what? The doctor ain't even gonna come. He says come back tomorrow morning. And that is real. That is extremely real of patients getting refused care at the clinic when they need to be looked at by a doctor. So my suggestion is for the board, I appreciate that it was Virgin Gorda needs its own board. Virgin Gorda would like a subcommittee board to report to your board. That's one of my solutions. And my last one, because this is actually a shout out to today, and this speaks to the out of the box. We have a young man in Virgin Gorda who I'm sure many know by now was seriously injured this afternoon and has a very badly broken leg, is going into surgery on Monday or Tuesday, fractured his wrist, they're addressing his lacerations, but at the end of the day he's going to be okay. And what I want to speak to is the community effort, because we don't need all these doctors in the clinic. Dr. Ba was there today. He did great. You know who else happened to be at Shea Bamboo? Dr. Pickering. He came in and helped. There were other volunteers. There were EMTs. There were people serving as patient advocates, all who were not, some were, but by health services. No one is going to stop and ask you for money. And people are qualified to help. I won't say that putting him in the truck was the best idea, because I don't advocate for that. I do think we need to wait for the ambulance, because there were certain concerns that maybe were overlooked. But I am saying that the people in that room were from all walks of medical. They were all trained, but they weren't all employed by Health Services Authority, and yet that boy got A1 treatment. So I thank Dr. Ba and there was Nurse Richards, there were many people in there. The EMTs, they're fabulous. Please don't take Christina from Virgin Gorda, because I'm going to be the first one standing here to fight for her. She has made such a difference over here, and is helping train all of our Virgin Gordians up. Christina is my girl. Do not take her from Virgin Gorda. I was swimming over there for her. Okay? Because we need that kind of paramedic in Virgin Gorda. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again.
Sorry. I know Ms. has had her. Ms. Gatpool has had her hand up for quite a while. Not to cut you, Sharon, but we'll come back to you.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you. I ask your permission to sit because I want to refer to my laptop. I'm looking at the BVIHSA's website. And the first paragraph says, the British Virgin Islands Health Services Authority was established to promote greater efficiency in administration and productivity of the public health care services of the British Virgin Islands. That's from your website, okay? I'm going to take you back. I hope I have the right document. You all know I'm a former government employee, so I did my research, and I'm going back to the old-time budget books. Ministry of Health and Welfare, the mission statement, to provide leadership that promotes health, social well-being, and a safe environment as positive resources for living and sustainable development. Your objectives, well, former objectives. I will only read the first paragraph. The principal function of the Ministry of Health and Welfare is to formulate policies relevant to the fields of health, social welfare, and rehabilitation services, and to coordinate the functions of its departments. We have been speaking about timelines. Well, let me give you a timeline. I was born October 30th, 1966 in People's Hospital. My doctors were the late Q.W. Osborne and Dr. Tattersall. I was a premature baby weighing 3¼ pounds, 7 months. I'm sure our medical facilities were not what they are today in 1966, but by the grace of God, whether you believe in God or not, by the grace of God, those 2 doctors were able to keep both myself and my mother alive. Why? Because my brother Alverson was living with Dr. Osborne at the time, going to high school. And he went to him and he said, "Boy, your mother bled like a hog last night." Okay? So you could imagine that. But prior to going to Tortola, and we have to cut out this going to Tortola, going to Tortola, going to Tortola, okay? It's time for that in many aspects. My father, now deceased, my late cousin, now deceased, Waldo O'Neill, had to go in there his sailing boat to take my mother to Tortola. And we're still here in 2024 looking for boat captains, if you can find them, especially through the night. No disrespect to anybody, because I thank God for boat captains, right? But why should we be going through that experience in 1966 and still here doing it in 2024? It don't make sense. When we had meetings regarding our Constitution, I got up and spoke. But people didn't like what I was saying. I am saying, in this day and age, we need to have more autonomy for every outer island, and legislation needs to be enacted to take out this sister island talk, okay? We are no sisters to anybody. We are islands, we are residents of islands. Let it be outer islands. Please, thank you very much for that. I'm waiting for it. Put it in your timeline. Now, my brother, yes, I will call him my brother because I don't play politics either. My brother, Honorable Vincent Wheatley, is now the Minister of Health. Did we know he was going to become a Minister of Health when we graduated from high school in 1982? No. So you don't know what path your life takes. Talk about life path. My mother became a bedridden person when she fractured her hip. And I have to thank publicly, if I haven't said it before, I will say it again. the nurses and the doctors of the Nurse Iris O'Neil Clinic. How did we get a clinic? My brother, who's now deceased, is how we got a clinic from Carlin Trust Fund in the United States. So we can have private partnerships to enhance our health care. Red tape does not enhance health care. Let me repeat that. Red tape does not enhance health care. Okay, I myself have been through challenges with my health. Yes, I may go to a private doctor, but I can stand and say, the Nurse Iris O'Neil Clinic staff has always been there for me. Coming back to my mother's situation when she was bedridden, I didn't know anything about taking care of somebody in a bed because when my mother came to live with me, she was walking. But it's the nurses there and other persons who taught me how to become a nurse. Although I don't like injections, so don't look for me to become a full-time nurse. I'm not retired. Please leave me, let me retire. But I'm saying to you all, the staff of Virgin Gorda, whether you like them or you don't like them, they have been there for us for decades. Morning, noon, and night. Dr. Georges. And it's a shame to come here in this meeting now to discuss the drastic conditions of our healthcare. When Dr. Georges served as a doctor in 1998, 2028 is almost here. Why are we going around the same Jericho wall, Goliath, Mulberry Bush? Why are we doing that? It's time to do what is right for the citizens of Virgin Gorda, for the citizens of Anegada, and I haven't heard about called Jocelyn Dyke, for the citizens of Jocelyn Dyke. You all cannot stay in Tortola and make decisions for us at our detriment. I'm not saying stuff isn't being done, but in 2024 going to 2025, we shouldn't be at this dilemma. When is it gonna stop? Your timelines, like Ms. Laura said, you need to have timelines in there. Right? You can't take us for granted anymore. You cannot take us for granted. Honorable Uncle Butch, I'm not bashing you, I'm not bashing any of you up there, okay? But the reality is what it is. And if it wasn't for Dr. Tattersall and Dr. Osborne to pull me and my mother through in 1966, I wouldn't be alive today. I was in the clinic already somewhere in December with pressure 160 over 100. Okay? 160 over 100. And the doctor had to administer Valium for me to bring down my pressure. Okay? At the Nurse Iris O'Neil Clinic. So I know we are going through some hurting times. We have people dying left, right, and center. But the other comment that Mr. Penn made about alternative health care, we need to do more preventative medicine. We can't talk it. We need to do it. Do it, do it, do it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Good night, everybody. The question that I think supports Paul's comments is, what does a fully functional Nurse Iris O'Neil clinics looks like? And what is your plan in getting us there? Vincent just say you passed the SAP this year. How closer does that SAP takes us to that point, which is a fully functional and operational Nurse Iris O'Neil clinic? What does that look like? So we could have some hope or I actually asked Vincent this question in a chat and he was unable to answer the question. And I feel as though, as a district rep, if you are unable to answer such a question, you need to go sit down. So, I want Vincent to be the first person to answer this question. What does that look like to you?
Thank you, Jana, for the question. I don't recall when you asked the question, maybe you were going through the SAP at that time. That SAP, I think, was about $5.7 million. It was primarily for the chillers at the Smith Hospital, October. It was for the insurance for HSA.
What is in it for Virgin Gorda?
As I was saying, that SAP had nothing to do with Virgin Gorda.
So what you tell us about the SAP fund?
That, you should not be talking about. That SAP is the response to medical emergencies until October. For Virgin Gorda, we have being passed hopefully next week We have a $4 million bill being passed. We haven't decided exactly what's going to be used for, but I can guarantee you, based on what you have said tonight as priorities, we will make sure that that one is there available to address the issues that you have said tonight. That's why this meeting is so important. We hoping to pass that thing last night. We didn't get to it. We're going to pass it either on Monday or Tuesday of the following week, because the premiers are away next week. From that $4 million, I can guarantee you that some of that money funding will go towards the North Arizona Clinic, based on what you are telling me tonight are your priorities for that clinic.
4 million, I hear that, 4 million.
Dr. Fred, you have any contributions?
What does a fully functional North Arizona clinic looks like?
So I think the young lady had asked that question, but in order to fund it, it costs approximately, let's say, $5 million annually. For Virgin Gorda, that's Iris O'Neill Clinic alone. And that is conservative. When I say conservative, meaning it may not take in account all those other fees, but it's about $5 million. Salaries, supplies, nurses, programs, yeah.
Let me help you out a bit. Ms. Samuel stated earlier a list of services that is in operation now. What are the list of operation that is not in service and is expected to become in service? Again, the question is, what does a fully functional North Iris O'Neill clinic looks like? What are the services provided? All of that.
Okay, so I gave you the, I wish I could see who I'm talking to. Right, so full services would mean 8 to 12 hour shifts of primary health care services, 24-hour urgent care services, radiological services that are accessible 24 hours, pharmaceutical services that are accessible 24 hours, laboratory services that would be functional 24 hours, dental suite, physiotherapy, and mental health.
Thank you so much.
So all of those services. So I think somebody mentioned the second floor of the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic, okay? And then the minister referenced it. So that space on the second floor is needed to be able to deliver the full suite of services that Dr. Fred just mentioned. So it takes into account the dental. There's a fully functional dental unit, the physio services, all of the services to support emergency care as well as community and preventative care.
And my last follow-up, just to be corrected, you said the $4 million.
If I could quickly add before you finish, a couple of things as well. You asked what a fully functional clinic will look like.
Yes.
In order to build it in the first place, it's going to cost about $5 million. And then to operate it on an annual basis is going to be $5 million a share. So I just wanted to make sure that we're clear on that those particular points.
So when he says build it in order to finish the second floor and make sure that it's properly furnished and so forth, that's what you're speaking to, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just to clarify. Thank you.
And then just a last follow-up to it is, when do you expect to have that completed?
I think part of that answer would be determined by the minister and the government in terms of putting the funds for us to be able to have that materialize.
And to be realistic, I'm going to butt in here because I've been standing for quite a while. We've been here about 3 hours back and forth, and I really appreciate that that you're here for the discussion. The sad thing is that if there was not that death last Saturday, you guys would not be here. You would not be here. If it is that the population of Virgin Gorda, those of us who are vocal and those who are not, did not take to the airwaves and everything else, you would not be sitting here. The reality of the situation is that you can't even find money at times to even have bone cream in the clinic. A gentleman was at the clinic. I mean, and it's just, I have to say it, and I wish that we had more time so that a lot of people in this room can tell you their horror stories. And we keep having horror story after horror story. Successive governments and CEOs run up here, they pacify us, and 9 days later, they've moved on to something else, moved on to another island. We've had enough. And yes, it sounds like you need $10 million minimum for Virgin Gorda. And those of us here in this room damn well know that you ain't gonna find it in government unless you go to the Social Security Fund like you did at COVID. That may be some place to go to find the money to start Virgin Gorda. I can tell you where to find money as well too. The Environmental Levy Fund has over $10 million in it. And we got that, I don't care where it is, just like how we ran into House of Assembly and Cabinet and passed so many pieces of legislation in 1 week. Then you can do that with environmental levy, which as a matter of fact was raised on the backs of the overnight visitors. And the majority of those overnight visitors who spend the money come here. Some of us are talking, saying that we need to hit up the billionaires. But I was willing to hit up the billionaires who have homes in Maho. The rains came on May 8th, and every culvert leading in to Maho Bay was undermined. One government official came over there to see what was happening, and that had to take phone calls. So what do I tell homeowners when their $1 million homes are destroyed? That maybe we may have to fix the culverts. And once we fix the culverts, then there may be additional monies around. And as Laura alluded to, it's not that they don't want to give, but sometimes we tend to see that when they do give, and they give what is supposed to stay on Virgin Gorda, for some reason it finds its way over to Tortola, at the hospital in Tortola, because supposedly your health over there is better than that for the sister islanders. We started a petition, and I'm going to end with that. And there's a reason why we started the petition. Because for some reason we can have all of these meetings and y'all say you're here and you're coming back or whatever. But unless it is that sometimes you're embarrassed into action, nothing meaningful happens. And yes, I was asked to take down the petition. I started the petition because I know how important it is to put things on paper. And I refused. Well, I don't think I could have taken it down anyway because it was already online. But I'm saying that this meeting cannot be the last meeting. One of the deliverables of this meeting is you guys need to get yourselves back here in 2 weeks. You should not leave this meeting without giving us a date for return, because what will happen is that you'll go back, you'll get busy, you have to meet with 20 and 30 and 40 different people. The premier's away, the deputy premier's away. When they get back, they have to do this and that. And there will not be any coming back to the people. So I am saying that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 of you at that table up there, come up with a date. Come up with a date that you are going to come back to the people. Don't tell us you're coming in a couple of weeks, because I know how it works sometimes with y'all. It never happens. And this petition, it is going to stand. And yes, maybe we didn't get enough signatures, but I think the entire BVI need to sign off on this petition, because what is happening to us can very well happen to them. I'm hearing horror stories about a hospital in Tortola too. However, my focus tonight is Virgin Gorda and deliverables for Virgin Gorda. And this petition will go to the governor. It will go to the House of Assembly. It will go to HSA. And maybe even if some of us, if one of the billionaires that we're talking about want to fund one or two of us to take it to the UK ourselves, since we seem to go to the UK for everything else except healthcare, then that is what needs to happen. Enough really is enough. And I said I'm happy that you guys came, but it's a little, sometimes we say it's a little too late. So before you leave from here, tell us when you're coming back. And don't come back for us to discuss that timeline. Send it to us ahead of time so that we can dissect it and we can study it. And I agree with what they're saying. You have a board, yes, but I am sure that your board does not have more than one or two Sister Islanders, whatever that word is, on it. I am almost positive. And yes, you're telling us to apply. And I will just give a brief story, because all of us know that when it comes to tourism, I supposedly know what I'm doing. I applied to be on that board, and I was torn down. I was torn down, and I said to them, I said, you need to make sure that there's somebody, at least from Virgin Gorda, on that board. And we chose somebody who doesn't spend half the time here. So I'm saying that even though you are saying that you're choosing people from the Sister Islands, you should not have allowed persons' positions to expire either. And that leads as well, in my estimation, to very poor planning. And we have a problem with planning, we have a problem with leadership, we have a problem with management, because we talk and talk, and the proof is in the pudding. You guys need to deliver. And you're not delivering for the people of Virgin Gorda, so you need to fix it.
Thank you, Sharon, for your comments. I was hoping you'd give me a copy of the petition also. I thought you were going to do it tonight.
I can give you a copy of the petition. You know I like drama. There is a copy of the petition, and this is the page at the back, and all of you should be signing it.
Good evening. My name's Amy Thurmond, and I live in the North Sound, and I just have a question. I have a dear friend who lives over there who has health issues, and from time to time he needs blood. From time to time he needs blood donated, and a call goes out for everybody to help out, and we have to get on a ferry and go over to Tortola to give blood. With this new brochure you put out, is there some place where we can donate blood here? Because there's a lot of people who have to work. They can't take off work to go give blood in the middle of the week, or they can't even afford the ferry maybe. After Irma, everybody was out of work. And so, are we going to be able to donate blood here? Because when I get over there to donate blood for my friend, they say, we still need more, we still need more. And I say, I know a lot of people on Virgin Gorda who would donate, they just can't afford to take a day off of work and spend the money on the ferry going back and forth. So I'm just asking, are we going to be able to start giving blood for the people who live here on this island who would like to help?
I would say my quick answer to that is that is something I'm sure we can do. So I'm actually sending a message right now to the lab person for us to look at how we can set that up.
I just wanted to add a point in response to Ms. Flax. around the process now, and even especially when it comes to the appointments of persons to boards and committees. In actuality, we have literally done the advertisement for that particular board more than 3 times, and we've not been getting the sort of responses. No applications up to twice. And when we put them out, it's put out for more than a 2-week to a month period. So one of the things that we've recognized as has been happening, and again it's because of all the new structures that have been put in place on account of the COI, is that persons are not very open to even wanting to be involved in some of these boards and committees because of this connection that is very intrusive, the sort of things that they would have to be required to do and so forth. So nonetheless, I think it's still important that we encourage persons to participate and be engaged as much as possible in these boards once the opportunities are presented. Thank you so much. I know the time is fast spent, it's about 9:20 now, but we want to, of course, give everybody an opportunity. Are there any more questions or any more voices that want to be heard? I think we can take about 2 more. We'll take it down to 9:30 at least, and then we'll try to have some wrap up.
Mr. Whitley, you mentioned that you were looking into an ambulance boat. Did you get to the point where you found out what it costs to have that? And also, in the meantime, will HSA be outfitting the boat that we have at present that transports the people to Treaders Bay with equipment, the necessary equipment that's needed, and personnel?
I thought that question would never come up. We are exploring the possibility of evacuation from the sister islands, and we're looking at many options. One of them was an ambulance boat. I got a delegation, Dr. Jahphix was there over to St. John to look at what they are doing, the cost of the boat and the cost of the operations. We have to put that now against outfitting the current boat and see which one is the most affordable and the most sustainable. We haven't finished crunching all those numbers yet, as we got some numbers a few days ago about it. We hope to, second round of meetings to start coming to a definitive decision about it. We cannot keep the can down the road much longer. The current boats are outfitted for one reason. The gentleman does not have a real contract in place to make a higher person to make the service what it should be. He is willing to do it. But we have to cut the cost. We can't do things halfway. We have to make sure we make a decision, whichever one we make, to buy an ambulance boat or to outfit this one, and it is sustainable and we can afford it. So it is an active thing we are doing.
But at the same time, we are saying that all our lives matters, and I think that we all are important enough to have some at least, or if not the most of the facilities that we need outfitted in the boat that we have at present.
Like I said, the reason it isn't going to happen until the gentleman gets a contract. I spoke with this a few years ago. Even the acting CEO also, she gave me more information about it. We have to make a decision. I want to make it very soon. The other side of that, yes, it's good to get your dialysis units, it's good to have your ambulance boats, but the key thing we can't leave us also is our personal responsibility to try and keep ourselves, the other preventative medicine, to keep ourselves as healthy as possible, that we don't need these things that we put in place. So that's something we also, in about 2 weeks we have Caribbean Wellness Day, and we're going to be emphasizing a lot of things about keeping ourselves healthy, that preventative aspect. But Dr. Samuels?
Okay, so I had a meeting with the gentleman just this week to discuss the terms of engagement, all right? And he is willing to continue to provide the service and to also do some improvements to the boat once we sign off his contract and we're able to agree on the payment, okay? The other thing, that's what I wanted to address with the person who raised the fee of the $300, that's a subsidized cost. And one of the things that we need addressed is NHI and how it covers emergency airlift or movement from all of the sister islands. Because right now, that cost is essentially borne by BVIHSA.
Thank you. And I'm just saying, I'm not sure if this was done, but the emergency room, the emergency place at a clinic is it's filled with ACs and AC equipment. It's blocked with that. So if it hasn't been done, I think that should be done immediately to make it clear so that if you have an emergency, you can move through there as quick as possible. Thank you.
Right. So that is temporary. What is there are the mobile AC units to provide air circulation to keep the clinic functional while we are getting the air condition back up. Okay, so the parts have been sourced, and we're expecting hopefully soon for the AC to be completely restored. Once that's completely restored, we'll move the mobile air conditioning units. But those are needed so you have proper air circulation for that section of the clinic.
Okay, one more point.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is I'm Richard. Don't you know the 9th district is a district where most of the revenue is turned in to the BVI government, and you're not doing nothing with the revenue for this district? Look around and see the most revenue is deposited to the treasury in Jahphix. We are left behind. When I would want to wake up and smell the coffee or taste it, was it that I left behind? I don't think I'll be a pal. Money deposited to the treasury is a disgrace when I'll come here and talk and then I'll sweep it under the rug. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bantapool, I think he said. Yes. All right, so I think we've gone through. Sorry, go ahead. Last person.
Okay, good night. I just want to know how soon the person will be able to get an ultrasound or an X-ray done at the Los Angeles That's it.
So currently X-rays are available at the clinic. I think it's twice a week, once a week, and the ultrasound. We don't do ultrasound at the moment, and again, that is linked to sourcing the staffing to be able to cover over here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. Sorry.
Can we take one more?
One more.
It's just a correction of statement. I don't know anyone who has gotten an X-ray in the Virgin Gorda Clinic, and I know it certainly wasn't available today in a big emergency where it would have been great to have. Is that happening, Dr. Fraser? Because I don't know anyone.
Yes. So the commissioning of the X-ray, we have such a wonderful X-ray machine that was outfitted by the top regional physicists during COVID. But we have no one to run it, as well as a ultrasound machine. So currently, the radiology department is tasked with providing technicians to come over, and it's whenever they're able to send over someone, which currently it's only on Fridays. For the past, since Ernesto, they haven't been able to send anyone despite us inquiring. They don't have anyone.
Thank you, Dr. Fraser. So let's please correct the official record that Virgin Gorda does not have X-ray facilities. And just to clarify, I know, Dr. Samuel, you said we're waiting on technicians for ultrasound. If I'm not mistaken, one of our doctors went away and did get qualifications in ultrasound. Did she not? Did Dr. Wheatley not go away to get some of that, I believe? Unless I'm mistaken.
Hello, can you hear me? So there are levels of training when it comes to ultrasonography. I myself have training in fast ultrasound. But however, the machinery, we have to be able to manipulate it. And as we have so heard over this entire time, there is a lot of red tape and a lot of lobbying on the ground here that we do as the clinicians, and unless we get the support, and hopefully all the support that we need is coming tomorrow, that we can do these things. So yes, and to go back, somebody did ask about the training of people at the clinic. There are indeed specialists at the clinic. There are people training in emergency medicine. I myself have postgraduate training in emergency medicine. I have worked and public health. That's my main specialty. I have worked in Toronto, Canada, one of the biggest St. Michael's Hospital. I've also worked in Kingston, Jamaica, many other places where the actual emergency status is way worse and traumatizing. But we can all do so much and more, no more, or bare hands. So that's the support that we're looking for. And I'm very happy, very, very happy that people took the time to express what is going on. Because once we get the full support that we need, then we can grow. There is a strategic plan right here for Virgin Gorda that we have had in place for quite some time. So now when the priority comes to us, we have the plan in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fraser. So I think out of all of this, there's a huge disconnect because we're talking about things that are apparently happening in Virgin Gorda that Tortola thinks is happening and Virgin Gorda is like it's not. And right now, if you're going to ask me to pick sides, I'm picking sides with Virgin Gorda. So Dr. Fraser, if you need us to start really opening our mouths, then let's work together because they clearly are not hearing you or not believing you and want to make a public statement. Dr. Fred, I know your hands are there, and since you're overseeing District 9, it would be great to get you for a shift in the clinic too. We'd appreciate your support because since we need more doctors, let's pull on. No, I know you're busy, but everyone's busy. All right? Thank you.
All right. All right. I want to say thank you on behalf of the team from the Ministry of Health. And as we've had this engagement, there have been some very salient points that we've heard, we've listened, and we will, of course, take on account. We are here as a ministry, as a parent ministry for BVIHSA to support. We recognize there are a number of deficiencies, including lack of human capacity and support financially for some of the key services that we want to see delivered. And of course, we'll continue to advocate through the normal budgetary process to see how we can get the funding needed to support the initiatives that we have in terms of delivering on healthcare in the territory, especially for our Virgin Gorda communities. I want to, of course, give the Honorable Minister the opportunity to do his quick wrap-up. There's some key points that were raised, including when we expect to have some follow-ups. The reality is we have a number of matters, even travel engagements in the next couple of weeks. So we have to look carefully at our diaries and be able to see how we can follow up. But we don't want to just follow up with another meeting when we're not coming to you with something tangible. What exactly are we looking at? What's the strategy we intend to incorporate when it comes to our VG community? Those are things that we want to look at clearly and carefully, collaborating with our HSA partners to ensure that we can really make sure that whatever we're delivering, whatever we're planning, can actually be materialized. Okay, so I want to just mention that, and as we go through, you will hear more from us around those things. I'll give the Honourable Minister the opportunity now, and hopefully we continue to see your support and engagement as we go through this process. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, PS. I want to first of all sincerely thank all of you for coming out this evening on this very subject. I want to thank you for expressing your concerns the way you did with your honesty and your frankness. I hear the frustration is as thick as concrete. I feel your pain. I live here too. What happens to you can happen to me, can happen to any one of us. There will be actions taken. We have to go and compile all the notes that you've given us, chart the way forward. My job primarily is to find the funding to operationalize the plans that they have for access to health care, whether it be in Northern, in the Gala, or in the Valley. We have to look at staffing levels. We have the ideal levels of 16 doctors and 10 nurses and so forth. that we don't currently have. We have to incentivize our recruitment to get doctors to come to Virgin Islands to live here. We will never be able to compete in other countries in terms of salary. Never. But we can offer other things to potential persons, like accommodations, a good environment, a lovely place to live and work, friendly people, outgoing or spoken. I want to thank persons for realizing that the government alone cannot solve this problem. It should a collaborative effort. The government, the NGOs, the private sector, the concerned citizens, and I've heard that tonight from you. It will all be taken on board. Like I said, I live here too. What can happen to anybody can also happen to me. I don't live in Tatoro. I only work on Tatoro most days. These folks will be catching a boat. And I must thank the team, PS and our team, for coming over and for staying. And for you insisting that they stay. This must be a priority for me as Minister of Health and resident of Virgin Gorda. So yes, we travel, PS and I travel to a health conference, health and education conference. It's an inaugural conference because we are realizing, like you heard earlier, the diabetes, the NCDs and so forth. The ages are creeping into the schools. Diseases that we normally saw in older persons, we are now seeing in the schools. So we have to work with education to address teenage pregnancies and so forth, all these things. We have to look at. We cannot be kicking this kind down the road while people are perishing. The whole world is going through some kind of a change. The number of deaths that we have for this year alone, it's staggering. The suffering. And we have to build confidence in our medical system. That comes from all of us working together. How many of you here are registered users of the North Irish Clinic? I want to encourage all of you to please register. It is a free service, but I understand why you would go to the clinic to spend your hard-earned money on a private sector that you shouldn't really have to do. That onus is on us up here to make sure we turn the narrative around. That when you feel not well, no matter what time of day or day of the week, when you show up over there, you'll be attended to. No matter the day or time of day, that should be your ambition. That should be the thing you want to work towards. When you show up there, there's somebody there to look after you. We have to build that confidence in you, working together. The blame game doesn't solve problems. Collaboration is what solves problems. And that's what I heard came through very clear to them. The need for further collaboration, the need for more communication amongst ourselves in between Tatula and Virgin Gorda. The idea for sub-HSA board, I love that idea. I really love that idea. We have to go more likely through legislation to do what we need to do. This amendment is before the House now. The HSA Management Amendment Act is going to help us keep HSA more accountable to the people that are mandated to serve. We have to find the funding to make sure they can do what the mandate says. Again, I just want to thank all of you for coming out and being honest and frank, like the men should we are. Honest, frank, but respectful. And I must commend you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.